see the final score, we track the revenue stream. Welcome to the show that treats the sports world like the multi-billion-dollar business it is. We dissect the ownership deals, the television right battles, the NIL impact, and the media figures driving the entire narrative. From Wall Street to the locker room, we follow the money and the people who control the message. Welcome to Press Row, the business of sports, right here on the Empty the Bench Network. Now, here's your hosts, Callan McClurg and Nick Morgasen. Hello again, my friends. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the month of June, and a action-packed summer of ETB coverage is coming your way as we tip off on the eve of Game 1 of the NBA Finals from the 210 area code of San Antonio. He, of course, is Nick Morgasen. I'm Callan McClurg for another 3-hour Grand Circle tour of all things sports business and sports media here on Press Row this afternoon. Across from San Diego all the way to New York, Mr. Morgasen. We're getting an action-packed month of coverage in a couple of weeks of pure, unadulterated torture for programming started here today. But great to see you as always. How we doing?
You know what? It's a good week. The World Cup obviously coming up. NBA Finals post-game coverage, which we'll hear about a little bit later. But we got an incredible show. A jam-packed 3 hours coming up. A lot of controversy in the world of sports media and business, which is what we do best on this show. But before we do all that, make sure you follow the show on social media at Press Row ETB across all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm going to say my cliche joke again when TikTok decides to stop being a butt. But make sure you follow us on there. Follow the Empty the Bench Network on all social media platforms at ETB Network, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network, as we continue to grow on the subscriber path. We are close to 1,120 subscribers. So please help us on that front and help us what we're doing, because we are working on a lot of things coming up. So you're not going to want to miss everything we're doing. But boy, do we have a big show for you today. We're going to talk about Skip Bayless being duped. Schmickeldorf. Yes, if you're not a sponsor, you won't get it. But yeah, Skip Bayless duped by a fake report on Stephanie White and the Indiana Fever. We're going to get into the Dan LeBatard show and Stugotz debate all over again, as now both sides have actually spoken up for the first time since that feud, if that's what you want to call it, has come up. Terry Rozier is facing new federal bribery charges, which is kind of par for the course. Claude Lemieux unfortunately passed it away via suicide at 60 years old, right? So, yes. And then we'll get into the whole DirecTV scripts situation with ABC and that whole drama that's going on. FIFA, some FIFA news involving Fox, which could lead to potential lawsuits and a lot of money changing hands. What else we got here? We've got, the Seattle Kraken and Melinda Gates getting into the ownership game. Sports Illustrated and Yahoo Sports cuts, which, if you heard me on ETB Sports live yesterday, this is nothing new, to be honest. This is the way the industry is heading, and we can't do anything to really stop it. More Brandon Sorsby drama, if we haven't had enough of that. So, we have a lot to get to and a lot to tell you about through what's going on with the network. So let's get started.
You will want to be around when we hit the top of the hour for the weekly update, because we have a lot of moving parts that we kind of talked about a bit on Cranium on Tuesday. But if you missed out on Cranium, you'll want to be here, though, for what we have, though, because we have an action-packed month of June starting today. But with that, though, Nick, starting things off, though, in basketball, but in the WNBA. But, of course, Nick, longtime former ESPN First Take host, now current independent sports media personality Skip Bayless, fell for a fake account on Twitter from a small parody bait account named at Fever Report, as the post falsely claimed that the Indiana Fever had fired head coach Stephanie White following a on-camera bench argument with both Coach White and rookie and star player Callan McClurg, and intended to replace her with Clark's former head coach at Iowa, Jan Jensen. Bayless would then amplify the fake news to his 3 million Twitter followers before walking it back hours later without explicably admitting he had been duped by the fake account. So, Nick, with Skip, though, operating entirely in an independent post-FS1 ecosystem now, driven heavily by online engagement metrics, does falling for a completely unverified 1,500-follower aggregate account permanently damage whatever credibility he has left over, or simply a case, though, of doing business in the modern-day aggregation media landscape that we are now living through here in 2026?
Okay, so you and I have had the Skip Bayless conversation before, and this is not new for Skip Bayless when it comes to aggregating news, or let me rephrase that differently. Not really re-aggregating news, but kind of over-exaggerating news to the point where he believes himself when he says things. And the problem is when you have heavy influence in the media, people are going to believe what you have to say.
Right.
And that's a problem, because if you have influence over the media like that, everyone's going to believe what everything you say is gospel, when that's not par for the course when it comes to when he speaks, because he loves to debate. He loves to do all these things that make you scratch your head at times. And he says things to make views, like a certain somebody who used to be here. But I knew it was fake. You could look at the account and realize it was fake.
I think the problem I have, though, as well, though, Nick, is that how the story was taken and how, like, articles were put out about the whole thing. And I think more importantly, Nick, it's because of the fact of a simple on bench during a timeout conversation between Stephanie White and Callan McClurg, where, again, players and coaches, Nick, sometimes don't agree on everything that's going on over the course of a game. And our good man, Zan Bando, does write in saying in part, no, but he is certainly an idiot for not double checking the work, though. And I think, though, that goes with par for the course. I do, though, think, Nick, that there's a very interesting, leg that has now been kind of growing with this story about Stephanie White and also with Callan McClurg. The reports that we've been following, though, away from Skip Bayless being an idiot when it comes to this news, Scott Agnes had his credentials revoked by the Fever in wake of a injury report that he had put out within 140 or 100 minutes, I think, though, of a game back in late May.
Right.
And I think, Nick, this becomes the second or third major PR nightmare for the Indiana Fever with their own local media ever since they drafted Callan McClurg. We know about the Greg Doyle snafu that happened on draft day the day after when Callan was introduced, and the whole heart emoji and how it got very, very awkward in the post-game exchange or the exchange at the press conference. Now here, though, Nick, a writer doing his job is the team revokes his credential for giving out injury news about the star player on the franchise. So that right there, Nick, is already strike one, Greg Doyle. Now strike two for Scott Agnes when it comes to how the Fever. I mean, Nick, I understand it about maybe protecting the integrity of your players and protecting your players from the media. But this is not, though, Nick, the right way to go about it, though, when Callan McClurg, we can agree to disagree, though, as Christine Brennan would say, though, but Callan McClurg has been one of the best things to go that is going for the league right now over her 3 years in the sport. And I just don't appreciate, though, how the Fever are holding the media, even locally, Nick, underneath this massive microscope when it comes to how the media can go about asking Clark questions, or how they can go about Stephanie, asking about Stephanie White. But to go back to this, tangent, though, about Skip Bayless, Nick, let's also remember, I think you and Tom know better than me, Skip Bayless lost a lot of respect from people out there like you and me for the whole entire take about the Damar Hamlin cardiac arrest event that happened in Cincinnati, I think 3 years ago.
If you look at our TikTok, not that I'm trying to point it out for views, I'm just pointing it out for how many people watched what happened. I put out a video of when he came back on Skip and Shannon, when Shannon was still on FS1. And Shannon is trying to say to him, do you have any remorse for anything you said whatsoever? And he's like, no. Like, saying that they should have continued the game. What kind of idiot or non-sympathy do you have for someone that technically was clinically dead, or not clinically dead, but was dead on the field for what, like 15 or 17 seconds?
Right.
And the heart was not moving?
Yeah.
And your whole thing is, let me stand on this take and say that they should have continued to play the game. You really think they were going to continue playing the game after that?
No, I mean, I recall one time that I was at a bowling event for the Gulls as their MC. It's a charity event where people can, buy a lane and they can bowl with one of our players. We were watching a Ducks game versus the Blues, and a situation broke out on the bench with Jay Bowmeister. He had a cardiac event on the bench. When he came off of a shift, he was kind of complaining to teammates about like he was kind of like lightheaded, wasn't feeling all that great, and he just dropped, onto the bench like a sack of potatoes. They called the game off, Nick, right then and there. They told both teams to go back to the locker room and that the game was going to be suspended and picked up later, later on to finish the game. And when Jay came back from his incident, the Anaheim fan base gave him a standing ovation, and both teams were, very much, glad that he was there, though. But I also, though, Nick, as well think that, I hate to say this argument again because it's been brought up so many times and regurgitated on this network, but that is so I care about wins and losses behavior with how Skip Bayless reacted to that whole thing about Damar Hamlin. I know, yes, I'm not watching NFL, folks. You can beat me over the head with a steel chair all you want about me not watching that sport. But I know that there was playoff implications in that game. But again, to Skip's point, though, why finish a game? You can pick it up eventually or whatever, but that's not the time and place to be, standing on a take regarding about how does this affect the playoff picture and this. We almost had a guy die in the middle of a game, and that would have been the first time that I can recall since the 1967 hockey season or 68 season when Bill Masterton, who played for the Minnesota North Stars, was killed during a game for a hit into the boards because they didn't wear helmets.
And that's the point I think people are not realizing. Like, how serious the situation was. Even though they have hospital personnel at all NFL games, they almost did not make it.
Right.
And people don't realize, and Tom and I remember this better than anybody because we had to literally break everything we were doing to go live during this incident. And ESPN didn't even know what to do during this game.
Yeah, because I remember me and my lady we were at an Applebee's restaurant by her house. We were, having dinner and whatnot, having a couple of drinks, and the game was on in the background. And we both stopped what we were doing to watch the coverage. And even then, and I felt in a way kind of, bad for Joe Buck and Troy Aikman about how do you go about handling this whole thing on air. And then, Adam Schefter, I thought and I did think, though, Nick, eventually when they were able to figure this out, though, I thought ESPN did a great job of what they were able to do, though, when they first had this thing dropped at their feet.
And people forget that game was simulcast at the ABC.
Right.
So they had to decide were they going to run this coverage nationally on ABC, which they ended up doing on top of ESPN and all that stuff for Monday Night Football. But Skip's take is just asinine in every way. Sure, and I'm not saying this because it's a good thing, but his tweet to this day that he put out broke a record on Twitter. I think it was seen 250 million times for bad reasons.
Yes.
For bad intentions. To say the game should have continued because someone died is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. And Skip is not, even though Stephen A. would prop him up all the time and say, oh, he's a journalist, he's been around in the industry. That's fine. He has been a journalist for almost 50 years. But he's not doing his proper due diligence as a journalist.
I also, Nick, wonder though, someone like Skip Bayless, are they becoming more and more out of touch because of where the landscape has gone about the digital platforms and
No.
the content, and I think that especially now, Nick, with how much of a wild west that Twitter has become, where people can buy the verified badges and they can, in a way impersonate being, a reliable source. In a way, Nick, it's like, falling for a false report is like falling for a phone scam.
I mean, yes and no. The problem is they never should have changed that system on Twitter where I mean, some of our accounts have it, but we do it because we need to be able to post longer videos if
Yes.
needed. We're not doing it to scam the audiences that are watching us across this network to say we know news that the stupid aggregators are putting out, like
Yes.
Dove Kleeman, the NFL account.
Or NBA Sentinel.
Yeah, it's just, well, that one. If people don't know that's a parody account, then unfortunately you're not very smart.
Nick, a couple more thoughts from Zan. He first writes, though, also, guys, if you happen to read Scott's Substack, he even says that everything that was reported about Caitlin's injury was verified by both Clark and Coach White themselves.
I read that too last night. Yeah, that was in there. That was it was put in, and he claims now. Again, we weren't there, so we don't know exactly what he did. That could be hearsay. I don't know.
Correct.
But I'm going to take his word that if he was in the building and he went and spoke to them, then it was verified. But the internet, social media, Twitter, for sure, big names in the industry are hot on the trail of the Indiana Fever. And rightly so. Now, I wanted to point out one difference because you mentioned Greg Doyle, the one who had the incident.
Yeah, that whole thing was just very sketchy from the word go.
No, but wasn't he the one who did the weird stuff, like at the press conferences with Caitlin Clark? I have to point out one difference between the two. Greg Doyle broke a rule in the sense of journalism, which was, and Zan, I think, could back me up on this one, that you can't go and start acting having a love fest to a player in a room full of journalists. You're not there to be a fan. You're there to do a job. Can you be a fan of a team? Sure. Go ask Michael Wilbon.
Yeah.
Who is a Cubs fan.
Yes.
And wore the Cubs jersey. Do you remember how much shit he took?
Oh, yeah.
On your day off, you can wear any jersey you want. Who cares?
Correct.
If you're working, different story, in my opinion. But the whole thing, to kind of wrap this one up with Skip Bayless, is you got to take Skip Bayless with a grain of salt. And I think...
Exactly.
I cover Illinois, but I don't... Right. But you also toe the line. You know when to be a fan and when to... Zan, you know when to cover the team, what's necessary. And also, what makes Zan different is when he writes his articles, he's not going to fanboy within the article.
Right.
Meaning, I'm going to give you, and he's not afraid to say, well, Illinois, you effed up today. Like, you played horribly. You get people who are biased and cover teams.
I mean, I was just going to say and point out my latest Substack was me grilling the Padres offense and that it's not on the hitting coach, but it's on the star players to start producing. And that got 60 views across the board finally, which is nice for the written content. But yes, you can be a fan, but also, yes, I love the Padres to death, but I'm going to call out their BS though when they're not performing as they had, at the time of that writing last Wednesday.
And you should. Now, the one debate you can have, and Zan could back this one up too, when you cover a team, that you have to be careful slightly.
Yes.
And there's a story that I think we're going to get to today with a certain... Oh, actually, are we going to get to that story with a certain woman today, or did we not put that in?
Probably next week but maybe. We'll see.
But I'm just going to mention her name because I don't know if we're going to get to the story. But look at what Chrissy Freud is doing.
Yes.
Where she's going out and basically taking a harpoon through the NFL and saying I can give two craps about whether I have job security or not. She's a freelancer. And that's what I find a little bit insane about this industry. And Zan, freelancer for a lot of different platforms, could hopefully back me up on this, is unless you're full-time, you shouldn't be taking shots at anybody.
Correct.
Now, we're not full-time doing this, but this is a media show. We cover what we see. We're not looking to harpoon the NFL or any other league. We're telling you what we see.
I mean, I harpoon the NFL, but for different reasons. And that's par for the course.
Right, but we're not looking to destroy reputationally what the NFL
Correct.
does. Chrissy Freud is trying to destroy the reputation of the NFL.
Bingo.
This is
Bullseye.
well said. You can't tell I'm very careful with everything I put out. Yeah, I know. Because you should. He shows me like the articles he puts out. But
Interesting. Hang on a sec. So two more from Zan real quick. He said at least that his Twitter account is legacy verified, though, but it definitely is becoming a problem. But also, Zan wonders if the PR for the Fever does not like Scott Agnes and wants to stick it to him for no other reason than for personal gain.
okay, but here's the problem with that. Your job as the head of PR is not to play favorites whatsoever. Your job as the head of PR is to make sure that the media is behaving appropriately when they're asking questions, not censoring, making sure they behave inside the room, that they're not asking insane questions to the point where it endangers the player, the athlete, the coach, the head
Brand.
of PR. What did Zan say here? I agree, but would you be surprised how many PR people? Yeah, no,
Oh.
Zan, you and I have this conversation all the time that PR people are gatekeepers. Zan, how many
Jordan
times?
Hudson.
Oh God, well, she's not a PR person; she's just an idiot. But Zan, how many times have we talked about how you try to get interviews with MMA fighters, and the PR turns around and says, we had the interview, but now we've decided that we're not going to do
this,
it,
do that.
even though it was already agreed upon. Too many. We had, and by the way, I'm sure Zan won't mind me saying this. He was supposed to do an interview with Colby Covington.
Right.
We had that all set up, and out of the blue. Now, I think part of that was affected by that he retired from the UFC, and he just announced that he's going to boxing. I think it's wrestling. And it would have been nice, though, if the PR person actually said, hey, let's reschedule, rather than just the excuse that they gave Zan was that, audio only. When that never was the case.
Wow.
PR people, and I've told you my stories back in college radio that I've had problems with PR people. And my favorite incidents with PR people is when they claim they have to stay on the phone or be on the video in the background. You're doing the interview. You know what my answer to that is? Get the F out of the room, or I'm not doing the interview.
Yeah.
Why? If you're allowing them to do interviews, you agree. Why do you have to be in the room?
Yeah. But what are you so afraid of?
So, full disclosure, back in college, I did an interview with Howie Mandel.
Right.
The PR person was giving me hell for 2 hours, saying that either I stay on the phone in the background or you don't get the interview. And I said,
so bad.
And I said, there's the door if you want it. And they're like, what? And I'm like, because they probably weren't used to someone telling them, because they think, oh, it's Howie Mandel, I'm desperate for it. I said, look, I'm not going to BS you. I don't ask dumb questions.
Precisely.
And I said, the interview is taped. And if Howie doesn't like something, he can tell me himself if he doesn't want it in there.
Correct.
No, but I have to protect his reputation. Really? And that's the problem with PR gatekeeping in sports. That everything is so overprotective. this this PR person for the Fever, I think, is overreacting to a situation where you put out an injury report. They're so afraid of the reputation of Caitlin Clark that rather than saying, you know what, next time maybe just come check with us in the PR department, they say, oh, well, we can't have it happen again. We're yanking your credential.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It's dumb. It's ridiculous. I put an email out to him because I'd like to get him on and hear what actually went down in this situation, but haven't heard anything. But this is bad. Like, they're getting destroyed on social media.
And rightfully so. With that, Nick, from all things WNBA, back to the media side. The souring relationship between Stugotz and Dan LeBatard continues as the longstanding personal and professional relationship between Meadowlark Media co-founders Dan LeBatard and John Stugotz Wiener continues to show high levels of friction as recent on-air and off-air developments point to a increasingly sour and tense dynamic between the two sports talk radio veterans, moving past their traditional bit into legitimate operational and creative disagreements over the show's direction and commitment levels, in wake, though, of both of them working for separate gambling-sponsored television programs and stations. Nick, we've watched this partnership, though, survive decades of radio changes, but now that they own and operate their own media company across the board, plus one works for FanDuel, one works for DraftKings, is this public souring now a genuine threat, though, to the stability of both Meadowlark Media's empire, or will the Stugotz always remain a part, though, of this show's DNA, whether or not John shows up for work?
So this situation is getting ridiculous now because
it's almost getting like it's turning petty in a way, it seems like.
It's petty. It's, I guess you could say it's what's that dumb saying? This is the price of doing business. But
yes.
I grew up on this show, okay, when it was on ESPN radio for years. They're one of the longest running shows. 20 plus years they did the show together. And then some weird stuff happened between the two of them. Dan's brother was in the process of passing away. Stugotz, I think his mother was in the process of passing away. And then something happened where the DraftKings deal was up originally. And he had two shows, God Bless Football and something else, which I can't remember the name of, but it was a popular show,
right.
God Bless Football. And then they resigned, and then all of a sudden Stugotz is not showing up as much for the show anymore. It went from being all the time, then it was a couple times, then it stopped. And then he's gone. He gets the gig at Fox Sports Radio doing Afternoon Drive, and he's got the separate deal with FanDuel to do all that other content.
Yes.
So here's the biggest line in the sand that's going to cause, because the two of them are going back and forth. Dan says he still loves Stugotz, and they want to figure it out so they can do the show together again. And then you hear on the other side from Stugotz saying he wants to tell his side of the story, and Dan wants to tell his side of the story. But it's bad for the audience. They're not being concise and giving the audience is owed an explanation for being loyal for 20 years.
Yeah, they do.
So why won't you just man up? I don't say that very often, but man up and tell the audience what they deserve to hear.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm a loyal listener or viewer of the show, I'm wondering the same thing. Now, again, I don't really listen to a lot of national radio because I'm Mr. Small Market. It's all local that I listen to.
Well, this is now distributed via YouTube and
all that. Even then, though, this makes no sense. In a way, it's kind of like watching, and I think Christy will agree. Will like the analogy. It's like watching one of your favorite, pro wrestling tag teams break up, and one of them turns heel. In a way. And I say that only because, that these guys worked together for so long. And now, again, is it the whole ordeal, though, regarding that, DraftKings is one partner and Stugotz went to the FanDuel side of things or vice versa, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to be because, again, those are, direct competition for both of those, those partners. But I mean, yeah, I mean, the fact though that this has gone and that this is spiraling as badly out of control like it is, and it's, his fault, their fault, our fault, whatever it might be. I don't like the pettiness here. I think that there is a great amount of debt that is owed to the viewership and the listening fan base of this show.
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. Like, you guys owe us an explanation about why can't you guys do something to make ends meet here?
And the thing is, as much as they work well together, I feel like Stugotz wanted to do his own stuff. But Dan is a little bit of an odd character from time to time. You notice the way the show is done.
Yeah.
It was never really a full sports show, if you realize it. It kind of like doused into politics. It doused into all this other stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, didn't his producer go off on Boomer Esiason during the Winter Olympics?
Yeah, but Boomer kind of deserved it slightly. Because
I mean, still, I'm just remembering, I think that we talked about the fact that the LeBatard show producer went totally off the rails against Boomer Esiason's quotes during the Winter Olympics, though.
Well, yeah, you're talking about Mike Ryan, the executive producer. But the thing is, I don't see this getting back together. Would it be great for the audience if they could somehow figure it out so that they could do it on a part-time basis? Yeah, but how do you get around the FanDuel and DraftKings problem?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. And I do think, and I totally understand, though, where Stugotz is coming from. Because, in a way, Nick, back to, the WWE tag team comparison or whatever, and then they break up and they go their separate ways, and they have, public feuds, and where they have feuds or whatever on TV. There's always, I think, that anchor that is, chained to your leg when you go down to the bottom of the ocean. My point, or my analogy, is that Stugotz felt like he was always in the shadow of LeBatard, which I think that was rightfully so, though, because Dan has been has done ESPN, all that, and that you try to go and do your own thing, and it doesn't really resonate with the fan base of the show because, well, you need to have the other one, though, too. It's 1-and-1. That you have to have LeBatard with Stugotz, or vice versa. And that, I applaud Stu for trying to, make it his own thing. But I always feel like, though, here's a better analogy, maybe. Think back to Rocky V, Tommy Morrison, who, again, wins the World Heavyweight Boxing Championship, but never actually faces Rocky Balboa in the ring. And how the Philadelphia and national media said, you're a paper champ, my man. You never actually boxed Balboa, so we're not going to recognize you as that, as the champ. You're always stuck in the shadow of somebody else, though, like Tommy Morrison was in that movie. Stugotz has been stuck in that shadow of Dan LeBatard because you have to have both of them go hand in hand, if that makes any sense.
Right, but I think the duo is what works best.
Yes.
And I hate to say this, and I really don't give a crap if Stugotz trusts me or not, and I've tried to get him on the show. He's impossible to track down. But Stu is trying to do a version of the Dan LeBatard show on his own platform.
Just with his name and branding on it.
Well, I should say the Dan LeBatard show is Stugotz, because I don't want to take credit away from Stugotz. Stugotz makes the show with Dan. Without Stugotz, the show is missing a component of chemistry. And don't get me wrong, I like Zaslow, the other guy that they have there, but it's not the same. Now, I could feel for Stugotz in some ways, because what is Stugotz's character on the show? That he's a lying fraud. That's the...
Yes.
And he came out the other day and said, look, I've been basically for the fans, I've been labeled as a liar, a cheater, and a fraud. That's a character. It's not real. People forget that the LeBatard show with Stugotz is built on characters.
I was going to say it's built on shtick.
So, and that's why everybody loved it so much, because it was like going into an alternate world to get away from all the realities that we have to deal with on an everyday life, and get away from the politics, unless when Dan's talking about it. But look what has happened to the show. Okay. Right. Billy Gill, who was a producer for many years, gone at Spotify. Loyal as part of that shipping container, they called it, the people that sit behind the glass there. They just lost Lucy Rodon, who was more of a newer member of the show, but she's now going off and doing college football content. But remember, you and I were studying that video yesterday, and she says it was time to go. Was it time to go? Tell everybody what I wrote yesterday, essentially. You don't have to go verbatim, but just...
Yeah, I forget the exact quote, but I remember something along the lines of saying it's time to go is just like a nice way of saying, I don't even know how to phrase it.
I'm trying to see if I can find the tweet where I put it. I can't find it at the moment, but basically it's a nice way of saying I need to get away from all the drama that's going on between LeBatard and Stugotz. And you know what? I don't blame her. I don't blame Billy Gill. Now, I don't know if Billy Gill was leaving more for financial stability. I'm sure he was being paid fine by Meadowlark, but going to Spotify, you have more stability with a big brand at the Ringer and Spotify. This show is, I don't know, there's a lot of questions about what's going to happen to Meadowlark now, too, because when they brought back DraftKings, and they remade the deal, they killed a lot of the content.
They did.
That, besides the LeBatard show and what's the guy's name? Dave Damashek, who does football, who that's what rubs Stugotz the wrong way. Because they got rid of God Bless Football and they brought in another football show.
Before we move on, Nick, is Pablo Torre on Meadowlark or is he somewhere else?
Okay, so that's a good question. A lot of people could... Okay, the best way I can explain it is it's a Meadowlark licensed show, but you'll see the giant A for The Athletic. So it's a production of Meadowlark, which is then licensed to The Athletic and New York Times. What?
The NIFL guy, LOL.
Am I missing something with that joke? I don't get it.
The guy you were just talking about, I think, not Pablo Torre, the other guy.
Oh, okay. But I don't know. The Meadowlark is heading the wrong direction.
Christie's calling it jealousy on someone's part for LeBatard and Stugotz. If anything, that might back my point about Stugotz being like that background character for all those years with LeBatard.
Yeah, but Stugotz is really not much of a lead host. That's part of the problem. And that's what a lot of people have been saying in the social media comments, by the way. Like, Stu, go back to the LeBatard show. You're not... Like, I agree. And I'm not trying to be mean here when I say that. I'm going based off what my eyes and ears are telling me when I'm listening to some of the content. And it makes more sense for them to be together, but I just don't get how that's reality when LeBatard and Meadowlark are DraftKings and Stugotz is FanDuel. There's just no way.
Yeah.
Like, someone jokingly, the Awful Announcing Play-by-Play podcast said, what are you going to do? Split the screen down the middle and have DraftKings on one side and FanDuel on the other? And I said, you know what? That's funny. It would never happen.
No, hell no. Hell no.
I don't know. The LeBatard show is in trouble. And they got to figure out how the hell they're going to fix that, because they need to just tell the audience, is it over or are we doing something together? Because the audience is owed it.
Relationship therapy. With that, Nick, for all things now back to the NBA, a follow-up to Terry Rozier as federal prosecutors in Brooklyn have hit former NBA player Terry Rozier with 2 more superseding indictments, adding 2 severe federal criminal charges of both sports bribery and now honest services wire fraud, which alleges that Rozier accepted a $100,000 bribe to pull himself intentionally out of a game back in early October of 2025, right before the opening shot got fired in the NBA gambling scandal as part of the organized illegal sports gambling ring scheme. Rozier, currently free on a $3 million bond, has, of course, denied these allegations. Nick, this is one of the first times that we've seen a modern high-profile athlete explicitly accused of taking a direct cash bribe to manipulate their own in-game playing time. How profoundly does this complicate the NBA's aggressive commercial embrace of legal sports betting operators in wake of this scandal and now these new charges levied against Mr. Rozier?
This is the first time we've actually heard any news on
It's
this.
been a while. It's been a while.
These gambling allegations, in case people are late to the party, and if you are, you're very late to the party. The NBA had announced gambling allegations with the Mob family. I forgot the name of the Mob family, but what was it? Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, Damon Jones, and a bunch of other players. And Terry Rozier was involved with supposedly pulling himself out of games and accepting $100,000 bribes, is what we're now finding out. He needs to go to jail.
Yep.
He needs to be put away. If he's accepting bribes and doing things to basically corrupt the sports betting the way it is, he needs to go away because he's trying to take advantage of his system. And by the way, he was going to make $27 million this past season. Was it really worth it to take a $100,000 bribe when you're going to make $27 million?
Clown show! Clown show! Clown show!
It makes no sense.
Or maybe he's going to be...
Well, you threw away $26 million.
And I think he had to put his house on the market for collateral.
I think sometimes athletes don't realize how good they have it. Now, I get it. We shouldn't fully be reaching into an athlete's pocket because you don't know the situations that are going on behind the scenes.
Correct.
But I'm going to, just on a hunch, say that he did not need to accept that $100,000 bribe.
No, this is this is like another chapter, though, Nick, being written, though, in what is going to be a steamy Benchmarks episode eventually when you and I can piece together this map, because as we recall, we were on the air that morning talking about Bill Belichick and his, issues at UNC when I think the opening shot was fired by Mr. Kash Patel, the FBI director, regarding the announcement of the arrest made. And then, from that moment forward, the whole show was thrown in the air. We threw out his name, and that became our very big story for the whole 3 hours, was just because, the news had been trickling, out for that entire morning. But yeah, Nick, I mean, this is damaging, not only for Terry Rozier's life and his, obviously his career now is down the toilet, but also his life now has been ruined, for his own stupidity, as much as with Brendan Sorsby of Texas Tech, as we'll get to in press clippings here in about an hour or two time here. But again, Nick, I think this just, again, shows you the risk, though, now of where sports has gone when you strike all these deals with DraftKings, FanDuel, Underdog, Prize Picks, Kalshi and Polymarket, that you now run the risk, though, Nick, of your athletes, either with their own name or via the Sorsby route, of fake names and identities of this stuff happening. And, there's no way to properly, I think, crack down on it. I think that they're trying to do so, but it's not going anywhere. But now when you have federal charges, though, Nick, levied against you, now you're really in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, he's done in the NBA. I'll say that right now. He's not going to be, no team is going to take a shot with him with federal indictments supposedly on him and these charges. The NBA's got to figure this out. And
I mean, let's be fair, though. I think every sport needs to figure this stuff out across the board.
No, but this is the biggest incident I've seen across all sports.
I mean, this is the biggest incident, yes, but I think the onus now is on every other league now to also cover their bases.
Yeah, but here's the problem, and I got yelled about again on Lounge last Sunday, talking about how the sports books are in bed with the leagues. And I keep getting told, oh, no, they're not. People need to be responsible for themselves. Okay, there's one problem with that theory. The leagues are over promoting gambling with the sports books.
I mean, and it was very much in evident. And I think, Nick, because you actually sat through game one of the Stanley Cup Finals on Tuesday, I think you can, agree about DraftKings being plastered or Kalshi being plastered everywhere on the rink at Lenovo.
Polymarket. Yeah.
At Lenovo Center.
They are literally plastering sports books.
And I guarantee you'll see a bunch of those ads tonight, too, during game one of the NBA Finals.
Oh, well, ESPN is sponsored by DraftKings. So you're going to see DraftKings everywhere. You're going to see them drop a parlay. Yes.
We have some news from Major League Baseball. For one, the All-Star game voting has opened, by the way, for those who are curious. But the Padres have officially DFA'd Nick Castellanos.
I was going to say that too. Yeah.
Which is not much of a surprise. I mean, I thought Nick did what he could for the ball club for the first couple of months, though, but really wasn't getting a lot of full-time playing time, especially when the Padres had to move Fernando Tatis Jr. to the infield because of Jake Cronenworth being concussed since, I think, mid-April still, after he took a pitch to the face in Anaheim against the Angels. Nick, though, had a couple of really good moments, though. He had a game-tying homer on Mother's Day against the Cardinals that won the Padres the game on a walk-off sac fly. He had a home run against the Athletics at a game I was at. So wishing him the best, though. I think he'll find a job somewhere else, though, Nick, in baseball. Maybe. We'll see what happens, though. But I think, though, that, that sadly, I think just some factors popped up, though, and that the Padres are looking to perhaps inject some of their minor league talent for trade bait as we get close to the deadline here in about a month.
Yeah. I mean, the Padres will be fine. They just got a hit.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
But you know what? Long story short, the NBA's got to get together. The league's got to get it together. Excuse me. And the leagues are too far in bed with the sports betting companies. You're seeing more athlete-endorsed commercials, which everyone is refusing to point out. Okay?
I think we missed one, Nick, last week about, Kyle Kuzma now struck a deal with Kalshi as well.
No, he's an investor.
Or an investor.
So you have Kuzma, you have Giannis, who's in the league, by the way, which I still don't think that should be allowed. And I'm tired of this dumb rule by it's under 1%, so he's allowed. So what?
Oh, man. I mean, now I'm fearful about who the hell's going to be the gambling partner for the World Cup in about 8 days when the tournament kicks off next Thursday afternoon.
You know what? That's interesting. Let's see if I can look that up and see if we can find who is I think it's FanDuel because they're doing those shows on there.
I would think it'd be FanDuel. But it's true, though, because DraftKings also has the odds, too, for the or they also have you can also make plays or bets, though, too, on the World Cup on DraftKings.
Well, every book is going to have the odds, but let's see if we can find so the regular sports books that are going to have bets are FanDuel and DraftKings.
Yeah, that's par for the course.
And the official FIFA World Cup tournament sponsors and partners in the betting and prediction market space is going to be an app called Betano, Betano. Official regional betting sponsor covering Europe and South America. And ADI Predict Street as an official predictions market partner. So it's not any of the major prediction markets or sports books.
That is interesting.
So I'm wondering if that has to do with legalities, possibly.
Yeah, that would be interesting. And by the way, Nick, we did have a follow-up, and this is via the Slack chain, because yesterday we were talking regarding the very controversial finish at the Cracker Barrel 400 in NASCAR racing on Sunday. Regarding some of the language that FanDuel had used about Chase Elliott and Tyler Reddick's finish, and then Shane Van Gisbergen's finish, though, and that FanDuel received a massive amount of public inquiries about why their bets either won or lost. Connor Rowland, our betting expert, says that FanDuel is using the mistake of NASCAR to avoid paying out the money to the people that made those bets.
Okay, but really you're going to fall on a technicality because they went on the podium already that the results are final? there was a disqualification at the end of the race.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize that a crash after the finish line could disqualify you. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. But oh wow. What I just came across. Where is my This is pretty significant news that just broke.
Oh boy.
This is from Adam Schefter. Now brace yourself if you're a football fan. The Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office has issued a warrant for the arrest of 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk on a misdemeanor charge of exhibition of speeding. Now, why is this significant? Because Brandon Ayuk is a good wide receiver, but he's on the outs right now with the 49ers and hasn't played. And now he's on. Now a warrant is out for his arrest for. I don't even know what exhibition of speeding means. I'm assuming
does that go back to that video that he did of him speeding, like literally, like I think he was speeding down the road past Levi Stadium. I think he flipped off the stadium during the course of the season.
I have no idea, but I'm looking up to see what. Okay, here's what constitutes an exhibition of speed: burnouts and donuts, tire squealing, drag racing, showboating. Those all fall under what constitutes an exhibition of speed. That's big news right there.
Wow.
Let me see if I can. Oh, there is a story on it. The warrant is in reference to a video Ayuk posted on YouTube in December in which he appears to tape himself from the driver's seat going well over the posted 40 miles per hour speed limit on a road that runs past Levi Stadium.
I think he flipped it off, too.
A few days after posting the video, Ayuk apologized for posting the video of himself. Following the incident, the Santa Clara Police Department indicated it would investigate whether any criminal charges would be filed, with the case being forwarded to the DA's office. And now we find out there's a warrant issued for exhibition of speeding.
And further, by the way, with the Padres DFAing Nick Castellanos, they have called up utility infielder and utility man Samad Taylor from AAA El Paso. That is the official move per the Padres and per MLB.com.
But he's already having issues, Brendan Ayuk. He's coming off injury. He doesn't really fit in with the franchise anymore. You really think they want him back now?
Hell no.
And now they were having trouble trying to trade him already.
And now that trade stock has just tanked.
So this is a problem for Brandon Ayuk. And now a warrant out for arrest. Yeah, I'm going to have to follow up on that. But wow.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that story, though, as time goes on. With that, Nick, from all things basketball to all things hockey, after a great game one last night, though. But, Nick, new details have surfaced, though. A four-time Stanley Cup champion and longtime NHL player agent Claude Lemieux, who passed away via suicide at the age of 60 at a Florida-based furniture store his family had owned. Following his death, his family has now announced they are donating his brain to the Boston University CTE Center to research long-term impact of repetitive brain trauma. The high-profile loss of Lemieux now has again restarted and brought new renowned public scrutiny back to the NHL front office and Gary Bettman's historic, steadfast legal refusal to acknowledge a direct link between hockey and, of course, the infamous CTE disease. So, Nick, with yet another absolute legend of the game dying by suicide, and now the family aggressively pursuing brain research, how much longer can the NHL afford to maintain their rigid legal defense denying the hockey CTE link without facing a massive player revolt or more PR catastrophes like this?
This is the CTE debate all over again that we've been talking about, not just because everyone's talking about the NFL. Now you have the NHL. Anything that's CTE, we don't do enough to protect the athletes when they get hurt. And again, who knows what issues. Now, he was at a game 3 days before holding the torch
in Montreal.
And now all of a sudden, now I don't know how he did it or what he did, but He's 60 years old. That's not even old in today's standards either.
No, it's not.
It's sad. He's a legend of the game. I don't really know what else to say here. Like,
No, Nick. I mean, I wasn't around when Claude was in his prime, winning those 4 titles back in the day. But his name is synonymous in hockey, which goes to the CTE portion of his story. All I have to say is Red Wings Avalanche in 1997, where Darren McCarty and him got into a massive fight. It led to a full years long brawl between those two teams. Because again, these two teams were at the top of the mountain at one point in the late 90s when it came to Western Conference supremacy, and that ignited one of the greatest all-time rivalries because of how it was brawl after brawl after brawl, line brawl, line brawl, line brawl. And I think a lot of the issues maybe that Claude faced with where he was in his mentally as the years went on was because of the brawls with the Wings back in the 90s, because that footage lives on forever. And I even think, Nick, that ESPN did a 30 for 30 or a ESPN Films about the Wings and Avalanche brawls, where I think Claude Lemieux, Nick, had to have police escorts into Detroit for this event he was doing, because the Red Wing fan base hated him until he came back to talk about. I think it was like the anniversary of the whole thing, though. But Nick, for him to, though, and again, he's regarded well in Montreal, I think, as well in New Jersey, where else he played. And but of course, I remember him mainly with the Avalanche, though, because of those rivalries. And it sucks that you remember a player, though, for being a hooligan and a goon like Claude was back when he played. And I actually had the chance to announce for his son Brendan, who played for the Ontario Reign while he was playing in the LA organization down here in San Diego. But Nick, yes, CTE is no joke. It's no laughing matter. And I will say that the NHL, as much as I will beat the NFL with a steel chair about Gene Seau, I will beat the NHL down with a steel chair. That they have never done enough for stuff like this, and that it's time that Gary Bettman and Bill Daly finally realize that that you can no longer hide from this. You cannot hide from the links of the head trauma of a hit, with someone's head bouncing off the glass or being boarded into the dasher boards from a cross check, or the repetitive fighting nature of guys like Lemieux and other big guys who were enforcers back in that time frame, a dying breed in the sport now, that there is a link somehow because of the punches to the face and the head. And then again, those hits to the head, the high sticks, the cross checks, that there is that now it's time it's time now to fess up and stop hiding behind the NHL logo for a change. As I would say about the NFL hiding behind it, though, with Dave Duerson and Gene Seau. Yeah. Stop hiding behind the shield and just come up and admit that there is a link here. Because I think, Nick, if whatever Boston University does find, and I have long respected Chris Nowitzki, who has been at the head of that BU CTE lab, with how he was about Gene Seau, and that he's always willing, though, to make an appearance and talk about, what they find. If they find something here with Claude Lemieux, then the NHL has no reason to run and hide from denying this ever again.
So I was looking up so the NHL doesn't have any specific rules named or codified as CTE rules, while the league strictly regulates concussions and illegal hits to the head. It officially maintains that a casual link between playing hockey and the chronic traumatic, and I can never say that word, encephalopathy has not been scientifically established. What are you talking about?
Yeah, don't say it's casual. I mean, now I will say, has the game gotten a little bit safer because of any hit to the head? It's now called a penalty. Case in point, Nick. Game 5, I think, of the second round Ducks and Golden Knights. Brandon McNabb elbows Ryan Poehling of Anaheim in the head, and Ryan's head bangs off the glass. The referees gave him a 5-minute penalty and kicked him out of the game for the hit to the head, and then Ryan Poehling was done for the remainder of the playoffs because he had a concussion. So they have done some things right to address address guys being headhunters out there. But it's still, though, Nick, is not enough, though, that this was not a thing, though, way back when. And by the way, concussions is what killed Paul Kariya's career. You know, you might remember him from the Mighty Duck movies. He was the first player that we drafted back in 93. And Paul had a very much iron fist grudge against the NHL his whole career. Anaheim, St. Louis, Nashville, Colorado, that the league never did enough to protect players like him because the goons would go after him. You know, and Paul suffered numerous concussions where there was one time, you might recall the play, folks, if you remember like I do, Scott Stevens drilling Paul in the neutral zone in the 03 Cup final. Paul even told TSN, when I got hit and I came back to finish the game, I had no recollection of anything after I took that hit. I don't recall getting back on the ice. I don't recall scoring that goal that blew the roof off the pond. I don't recall anything from that series after I took that hit. I mean, how terrifying is that right there to hear that admission?
No, it's bad. I mean, just to point out, so key regulations addressing head impacts, Rule 48, illegal check to the head, prohibits hits where the head is targeted or is the principal point of contact. Violations result in major penalties, game misconducts, and supplementary discipline from the Department of Player Safety. And then the league stance on CTE, which is nothing, really.
Nothing.
The NHL's leadership has consistently resisted acknowledging a direct connection between repeated head trauma during an NHL career and the long-term degenerative brain disease, CTE. This puts the organization at odds with major research entities and other professional leagues, such as the NFL, that have formally acknowledged the dangers of repeated head impacts.
That's not enough.
Are you that dumb? Are you that, or as I would say, is the NHL that dense?
Yeah, they are.
I would say, and I think I said this to you the other night, I think the NHL, playing in the NHL, is sometimes worse than the NFL because you're a moving target on skates.
There 3 sports come to mind: hockey, football, combat sports.
Yeah, but at least in combat sports, you can move your feet on the ground. Hockey, you are a moving target the entire game. And when you hit that board, there's no impact, meaning that you can't stop. Now, I don't understand, like in baseball, where they put padding into the walls. Like after how many times Ken Griffey Jr. crashed into the wall, which probably shortened his career.
Broke his wrist.
But he probably would have broken the all-time home run record if he didn't crash into the center field wall a million times. Aaron Rowan, who broke his nose while he was the center fielder for Philly. Can you imagine if they had padding in the wall? Maybe it's not as significant of an injury. They put padding into the walls for everywhere after that. Why are we not putting padding into the walls for NHL games?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, back in the day when my parents went to games, they didn't have glass. They had chicken wire around the rink back then.
What I'm saying is we're at a point where these injuries are significant. Why are we not padding the walls so that maybe instead of fully crashing down into the wall, they bounce off it instead?
Yeah, who knows?
So is there a concussion protocol during NHL games?
I would think there would be because, to my point about the Brady McNabb hit against Ryan Poehling, the referees can also go and review the play and then give the player the penalty and then kick him out of the game.
It's not enough. It's not enough. I mean, and Gary Bettman, and we saw that he was doing his, I guess, yearly press conference or whatnot.
Yeah, state of the league, as any commissioner does before the league final begins.
He's more worried about revenue. Go figure.
No, I mean, yeah, $8 billion for a sport no one cares about. It's never but me, Johnny, and Tom. So yeah. But again, is it about the revenue or about the fact that he just lost one of the all-time greats because you didn't do enough to protect him when he played?
But again, I'll go back to a point you made before. That's every sport where we're having issues with CTE or other physical issues. There's no fund for retired players, or at least it's not that much. I mean, it was a landmark situation when the NFL finally got a deal for concussion and CTE, but it was not enough money for these players to deal with their medical issues for the amount of time that they've put into the NFL. So I don't know, man. It's only going to get worse. The injuries are just going to have gotten more aggressive. Players are stronger today across all professional sports. these guys bulk up more than any other professional athletes I've ever seen playing. So players are going to get hurt.
Exactly. With that, Nick, we are passed into hour 2. Let's get to a action-packed ETB Network weekly, and for that matter, monthly update. Welcome to June, and where all chaos breaks out in a week's time. Actually, it starts tonight. What am I talking about?
Yeah, it does start tonight. But a lot to get to in this update, a lot of programming alerts. Join Johnny Montalbano and myself tonight for ETB NBA Finals post-game reaction show after Game 1 concludes tonight. Obviously, because the Finals is underway. Knicks versus Spurs from Frostbake Arena in San Antonio. Johnny and myself, and probably, I think Ben Cruz is going to be there too. I don't know yet, but we are going to do full reaction to everything that goes on tonight in Game 1, the NBA Finals, and the plan is to do as much of these games as possible for post-game shows. So don't miss out. It'll probably be around like 11:15, 11:30 Eastern time, somewhere in that window. And so far, we've done well. I did one on my own that hit 1,500 views on YouTube. So make sure you join us later for that Finals post-game show and throughout the NBA Finals. All right, next, our new soccer programming. Empty the Pitch with this guy over here and Trevor Williams debuts June 10th, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We had to move our press row show to Thursday next week just to accommodate some of the extra special programming we are going to be doing for Empty the Pitch. But this is the debut. This is going to be a full preview show for the FIFA World Cup because it starts on the 11th officially,
Yes.
right? So make sure you tune in the day before for a full preview, an hour to an hour and a half-ish preview breakdown of all the teams and all the big storylines and kind of what's going to be coming up on the World Cup, right?
Yes.
Anything you want to kind of reveal what you're looking forward to with this show?
I mean, this is going to be great. And I mentioned this a bit on Cranium on Tuesday, but to further this, though, so not just the debut. Trevor and I will be with you in the 8 a.m. time slot Pacific time, as you would see Trevor during the college football or basketball season for either Hardwood Game Day or Gridiron Gridlock. ETP will move into the Saturday slot to fulfill that role right now on Saturdays during the tournament. So we'll have a full recap of the full week of the games when they do in fact come around, and also preview the day ahead though on Saturday as well for all the games, and we'll also break down the games on Sunday. Further, as I mentioned on Cranium on Tuesday, there are 4 in-person events that I'll be attending here in San Diego for content for our social platforms, which is at Empty the Pitch. I will be at the University of San Diego next Wednesday morning at 10:45 a.m. to watch the New Zealand national team have their open practice at my university. We'll be getting some photos, some video, talk to some fans, hopefully, because this event is sold out already within 5 hours. The tickets were gone via the USD Athletics email I got. So we should have a lot of people there to watch. We'll hopefully get some interviews from some of the fans, hopefully talk to some of the players of the All Whites when they do, in fact, come here. That is their name, as I mentioned on Tuesday. They're not the All Blacks for soccer. Then, looking over my schedule, we will also be having instant reaction shows after every U.S. men's national team game, June 12th, June 19th, and June 25th. So 2 Fridays and 1 Thursday. I believe that is the correct scheduling alignment. So that'll be Team USA Paraguay, Team USA Australia, and Team USA Turkey. All that will follow right after the game concludes right here on ETB. With probably myself will be hosting those because of Trevor's work schedule right now, not quite being in alignment. Even further, we will be on site. I'll be on site for 4 potential in-person watch party events held here in San Diego on the beachfront of Belmont Park on June 16th, June 18th, June 23rd, and possibly June 26th. That'll be Argentina, Algeria, Mexico, Korea, England, and Ghana, and potentially Uruguay and Spain. So again, we'll be on the streets, doing some content from these events. getting a lot of B-roll and content from the event. I might be having one of my friends join me on June 18th as one of my special contributors, though, for the Mexico match, because he's also a Mexico fan when they play South Korea. So 3 of the games will be in the evening, 1 game in the afternoon. So because of that, we are moving Cranium to June 15th to accommodate that. We'll have more about that, though, as time goes on. And that is where things stand, though. This is only right now for the group stage, though, because there'll be more of these coming, though, when we get to the knockout round, and, of course, eventually to the final on July 19th in East Rutherford, New Jersey. So that is everything, though, Nick, that we can discuss with ETP right now, and I am stoked.
And then if that wasn't enough.
But wait, there's more.
ETB will be covering UFC Freedom 250. So we'll start with that piece of it first. We will have special coverage for the White House card. For the most part, the times are confirmed. Tom Albano, obviously, with Fight IQ Puncher's Chance on Saturday. We will have him and probably Zambando for a 2-hour edition of Fight IQ Puncher's Chance, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll go through the White House card. We'll do all that stuff. And then on Sunday, Zanzinger Part 2 will probably be mostly a pre-show for the White House card. Then that'll be it. Lounge will happen on Sunday night. Hopefully 8 to 11. So it's done. And then Tom will come back for a post show after the UFC Freedom 250 card will be done. And then on top of that, if that wasn't enough for you, our show is coming back called Tough Enough, which is the Ultimate Fighter series. We are working through that now to have that ready sometime late at night. So that'll be a live to tape show. And that'll probably be every Sunday going forward, depending to see how that works out. So make sure you tune in for all that programming. We will be live throughout the weekend for UFC Freedom 250, June 13th and June 14th. So don't miss it.
So much to unpack. I love it.
All right. So as we move on to hour 2 of the program, even though we're 12 minutes into hour 2, let's get into the DirecTV scripts debates. And in the middle of a massive carriage dispute, DirecTV officially pulled Disney-owned ABC from its channel lineup. The timing of the blackout could not be worse for sports fans, as it directly coincided with the high-stakes simultaneous launches of both the NHL Stanley Cup Final and the NBA Finals, both on ABC, by the way, leaving millions of satellite subscribers scrambling to find alternative broadcast feeds. We're seeing these carriage blackouts happen closer and closer to major championship events. Is this scorched earth tactic a sign of absolute desperation from legacy satellite distributors, or is it an effective leverage play against massive content conglomerates like Disney?
This doesn't surprise me, Nick. This happens all the time before, the Cup final or the NBA Finals. But also, Nick, this always happens before the NFL takes shape every single year, or college football. I mean, and again, you would know better, I think, than most people, because you had you sat through the blackout last college football season, roughly.
Yeah, I mean, am I really surprised by this? No, I mean, but like, I was coming home from my workout today. My dad has therapy in the same place. And I said to my dad, like, this is a bunch of babies who can't negotiate through a dispute. I don't understand why networks pull the programming and screw over a bunch of fans who want to watch. Of all weeks, when the Stanley Cup Finals and the NBA Finals are on, you're going to be a baby and pull all your stream programming off. And you're going to screw over people who have the ABC affiliate, which, by the way, this is rare that ABC has both the Stanley Cup Finals and the NBA Finals at the same time.
Right. Because usually it's one or the other.
But this is ridiculous. So obviously, DirecTV was not happy with the price that Scripps was asking, and they said, screw you. We're pulling your all your affiliates off. And remember I told you how I thought it was kind of dumb that people were posting their screen and say, "Oh, I can't watch." Are you that dense?
Yes.
You don't realize there's a TV contract dispute going on? I live this hell, like you said, where YouTube TV and Disney couldn't play nice in the sandbox, as you would say. And it led to them being off for, I think, 5 or 6 days. And eventually they came back and they agreed to a deal. But I don't know, man. I just work through the dispute, but leave the channel, the affiliates on.
Yeah, and I think I recall, Nick, that it got pretty testy though when it came down the pipeline regarding the fact of it was, we want this much money, no, we have to go back down to severely decrease the money, blah 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 blah. And again, the timing again cannot be any more impeccable. If you are a Carolina Hurricanes fan, a Golden Knights fan, a Knicks fan, or a Spurs fan who has DirecTV, and now you lose a Scripps-owned station during the course of the Stanley Cup or NBA Finals. And, Nick, this actually began to brew, I think, I want to say over the weekend. I think I sent you a picture of my television from the living room that before we get to another story later about the Texas Tech-Tennessee game being intruded by technical difficulties, the San Diego affiliate had the scrolling ticker that if you're a DirecTV consumer, you might be losing ABC. Please contact DirecTV now to say that you don't want to lose the station. And it always seems like I said, though, it always seems like, though, Nick, every time that these disputes happen, it's right before the start of a major championship event or right before the football season rolls around every August and September, every single time.
Well, of course, they wait for the situation where, oh, it's the NBA Finals. Oh, it's the Stanley Cup Finals. Oh, it's the U.S. Open for the PGA. Let's just screw all the fans over. Let's screw the DirecTV customers. Scripps is not even a relevant company anymore, to be honest. But they hold all these affiliates for ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox. So they have power in some way, shape, or form.
They do.
It's not right. And it's not as easy to say, oh, I don't like Optimum, so I'm going to switch to Fios. You know what the companies are saying now? Go ahead, leave.
Yeah, leave. We don't need you.
It used to be when you would threaten to go, say, I'm going to go to Fios, all of a sudden they would snap at attention and say, oh, I'm going to fix it.
Yeah, and you know what, Nick? That's a very good segue because that actually happened with when it was still Time Warner Cable in San Diego. When we first moved into our new house here, where I've lived for the last decade plus here in town, the Padres had their own dispute with Time Warner Cable about what was then Fox Sports San Diego when they jumped off of Cox Channel off of Cox Channel 4 San Diego. I remember my folks and I went into the TWC office by our house here in over in Claremont, about 5 miles away, roughly, if not closer. And we brought in the cable box, the remote, and all that, and we put it on the desk, and we say, we'd like to cancel our cable package. And the jerk of a sales rep asked, well, why are you canceling our services? And we bluntly said, it's because you guys don't carry the Padre games. And this guy had the nerve to say, well, it's a two-way street. The Padres could have done more. And it's like, sir, we don't want the spiel. We're canceling and moving over to AT&T because they have the Padre games on television until you guys can figure it out.
And what did he say?
He didn't know what to say.
The problem is it's the stupid sales pitch. And by the way, I'm sure he was reading it off his paper like they do, like when they call you and you say you need help.
Yeah.
Because no one can talk for themselves, which I find hilarious. Let's read the talking points because apparently we're robots and we can't talk. But you know what? This is going to be a bad look for Scripps and a bad look. I don't even know. I wouldn't say it's a bad look for DirecTV. because these companies are charging too much. The reason the whole dispute happened between YouTube TV and Disney is Disney was being a greedy pig asking for too much money.
Where I always say you can make up that revenue back in churro sales at any of your parks in California and Florida on a given Wednesday afternoon.
And the thing was, ESPN, Disney, was losing, I forgot, like 10 million, or I don't know what it was, $10 million a day. Had to be more than that. But
had to be.
I want to look that up and see what the number was. But it's crazy, like these disputes, what they cause. Let's see, during the carriage dispute with YouTube TV, Disney was estimated to be losing $4.3 million to $5 million per day. Per day.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money. And it said Wall Street analysts Morgan Stanley calculated the total revenue headwind at about $30 million per week, with ESPN taking an estimated $110 million in operating income hit for that quarter.
Jeez. Damn.
They needed YouTube TV. Why do you think YouTube TV was fighting back at them?
And I also think that ESPN screwed themselves over in a way with that whole, like, the unlimited, portion of their programming too. Like, Pete, and I think, Nick, you're still having problems with that though too, aren't you, with the ESPN Unlimited?
They say that they're trying to make the deal to get ESPN Unlimited for free on YouTube TV. They've done that on other platforms. They've got it for free, but so far they have not figured it out on YouTube TV.
I mean, I would not be surprised, Nick, if we run into this whole entire ordeal in 2 months when August rolls around, when college football kicks off and where college athletics comes back for the fall, that we once again, Nick, are going to be facing another issue like this somewhere down the road with, maybe again, it's going to be ESPN and Disney having a falling out with Spectrum or with AT&T or Comcast, or any other big name cable company in a way, or maybe even again, like another YouTube TV issue is going to pop up and more people like us are going to be left high and dry until they can actually, stop throwing sand at each other and hit each other in the face and actually work for a deal.
Yeah, but you're asking for logic.
I know I am, but still.
You're asking for logic when these companies, instead of thinking logically, they think from the, where's my sound, standpoint. That's the standpoint they think of. Let me do that again. Because they only think about money. Now, I get it. They're a business. I'm not being facetious. But, like, both businesses can make money. And you don't have to affect the customers that want to watch the product. Why do you think all these leagues are going digital and they're trying to make everything that way? Because they're trying to cut out the middleman, which is the cable provider.
Of course.
So, I don't know. Like, if this goes to the whole NBA Finals and Stanley Cup, DirecTV might take a huge hit.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you're a fan in those 4 marketplaces trying to watch your team play.
And bars, too, because some bars have DirecTV. What about the amount of business they're losing over?
Oh, my goodness.
If they have DirecTV. Not every bar has DirecTV, but like.
Yeah, and what was interesting is that the Golden Knights had a watch party inside T-Mobile Arena on Tuesday for Game 1, and they had a feed on the Jumbotron. And I'm sitting here thinking, though, how was this, how's that possible when I think the ABC affiliate that is in Vegas is off the air right now when it comes to the Cup final?
I don't know, man. It's just one of those things where you just like figure it out, so the fans can watch the damn Stanley Cup Finals and the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I mean, oof. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on how long this lasts, though. But if anything, Nick, it'll be. I mean, I don't think it'll be I don't think it'll be worse than the whole Disney YouTube TV thing. But this, though, in a way, is setting up both sides for failure.
Well, speaking of failure, but on a different level. Reports have surfaced indicating that the top FIFA officials quietly explored avenues to potentially rescind Fox Sports' English language broadcast rights for the upcoming 2026 World Cup. Fox originally secured these lucrative rights for a bargain price of just $485 million through a highly controversial closed-door extension handed out by FIFA years ago without an open bidding process. Given that the U.S. media landscape would value a home soil World Cup at billions of dollars today, does this report show massive buyer's remorse from FIFA? And is there any realistic legal framework where they could have actually stripped Fox of the tournament? Mr. Soccer.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
Okay, we get the point. Go ahead, Mr. Soccer.
FIFA behind closed doors, highly controversial. How in the hell am I not surprised, Mr. Morgasen?
Mr. Politically correct.
My goodness gracious. I mean, Nick, we sat on Monday night, or Tuesday night, I should say, before Cranium took the air on Tuesday, about who, though, would have been the best landing spot, though, if FIFA would have actually rescinded Fox's rights because of where they dished out that extension and that where the game is gone right now, where I believe I told you on Tuesday, maybe even early Wednesday morning, that the next story that we'll talk about involving Paris Saint-Germain, that became the most viewed English language viewed soccer match, I think, in CBS's history when PSG beat Arsenal last week. This, though, is interesting, Nick, because the World Cup really, I think now, has not had much of a permanent home since Fox got the Team USA soccer rights, or even the MLS contract, when ESPN said, we don't need soccer anymore, we're going to move on from here and go elsewhere. The thing, though, I wonder mainly is that if this could have been, Nick, an open door policy when it came to a bidding war for a World Cup hosted here in America and jointly with Canada and Mexico for the first times in 32 years that the World Cup's come to the States, that would have broken the bank, I think, for the rights deal for whoever would have gotten it. And I think that we are in agreement that the best spot for it would have been NBC, Comcast, Universal.
Well, so this goes back to something I said to you last night, that the reason all of a sudden that FIFA is saying $485 million, gee, I could have gotten $1 billion for the World Cup. And they say, oops, we had buyer's remorse over $485 million. Well, just because you made a bad deal doesn't mean that you can take down Fox and remove their rights. They will sue your ass if you try to remove the rights. You went behind closed doors and you made a deal for the rights, knowing that Fox has been a worthy partner of yours to show the World Cup. Now, if you want to talk about 4 years from now, I don't know if that deal is made yet for who's airing the World Cup in the 2030.
And the 2030 World Cup is going to be, and I believe it's not been confirmed yet. We won't know until the tournament either starts or ends. The 2030 World Cup is going to be in Morocco, Portugal, and Spain, with potentially, Nick, a bigger field than this one for the 100th anniversary of the first ever tournament.
Okay, so I just looked this up. So the TV rights for 2030 are still up in the air. Fox currently holds the rights for 26, but their contract expires right after the tournament. FIFA has not yet tendered the U.S. rights for 2030, though streaming platforms like Netflix have publicly expressed interest. No. That would be a nightmare.
I would think, Nick, if I have to rank, I think NBC, Comcast, Universal has a step ahead.
Because of all the channels.
But I have a wild card, though, in my mind because of how they've grown their portfolio when it comes to soccer.
Who?
CBS, Paramount Plus.
I don't know if they have enough channels.
CBS, Paramount Plus, CBS Sports, Galazzo.
I'm looking this up myself just for clarity to see what they own.
Paramount.
So CBS has a bunch of local affiliations. That doesn't really help them, though.
CBS Sports Network.
I'm trying to see what I can find here.
Paramount Paramount
Well,
Plus.
yeah, Paramount. I mean, obviously, from a streaming perspective, they would be fine. But I can't find what else they own to see if I could do the math on it. All right, so CBS Sports Network, like you said, CBS Sports HQ, that's digital. CBS Sports Galazzo, that's digital. I don't see much else. That's part of the issue.
CBS Sports, local affiliations, BET, and the MTV and Nickelodeon groups, too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. So,
Viacom.
right, it's Viacom. That's why I'm not getting the right channel list.
And, of course, Paramount Plus and CBS Sports Galazzo, which is on Paramount Plus, I believe, too.
Here we go. MTV, Comedy Central, which they wouldn't use. Paramount Network, CMT, they could use that.
Yep.
TV Land, Logo TV, Pop TV, BET.
Yep.
VH1. I don't know if they would use Nickelodeon. Showtime. Smithsonian Channel. And also the CW. Which they have some partial ownership too. So maybe they do have enough channels.
By the way, speaking of the NBA Finals,
oh boy,
I just got a text, a promo text from Chili's.
Oh boy,
Game 1 of the Finals is on at Chili's. Come slam dunk a Big Crispy into house-made ranch during the course of the game tonight.
Ew. No, thank you. By the way, so ESPN apparently has named the top 25 athletes of the 21st century. And what? Want to take a guess on any of the top 25?
Messi.
Number 1.
Ronaldo.
Number 13.
LeBron.
Number 4.
Aaron Judge.
No.
Mike Trout.
No.
Pat Mahomes.
Number 18.
Kylian Mbappe.
No.
Who else? Ohtani.
No.
Really?
I think this is more 20. It says top 25 athletes of the 21st century.
Michael Jordan.
I just saw his name. I thought I saw his name. Oh, maybe his name's not on here. What? Yeah, I don't see it.
Kobe Bryant.
I just saw his name. He is 10.
Who else? Tom Brady.
Number 5.
21st century.
I don't agree with some of these, by the way. What they have at number 2 is kind of interesting.
What sport?
In the Olympics.
Michael Phelps.
Yep. So they have Messi 1 and Phelps 2.
Interesting.
Number 3 is a person you talked about last night.
Oh, Serena Williams.
Yep. LeBron is 4. Brady's 5. 6 is also on the courts.
Nadal.
No,
Federer.
but he's number 12. Nadal. Federer's number 6. Number 7 is also the Olympics.
Katie Ledecky.
Part of the doctor controversy. Was on the team.
Simone Biles.
Yep. Number 8 is Tiger Woods. Number 9 is Usain Bolt. Number 11 is Novak Djokovic.
Okay.
14 is Steph Curry. Ledecky is 15.
Okay.
Duncan is 16. Shaq is 17. I think that's low.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton is 19.
Wow.
Aaron Donald is 20. Diana Taurasi is 21. Sidney Crosby is 22.
That makes sense.
Kevin Garnett, 23. Pujols, 24. And Floyd Mayweather to round it out at 25.
Floyd, I'd run around the ring for 12 rounds, Mayweather.
Well, I hug people. I don't
hug
lose.
people and run away for 12 rounds.
That's an interesting list by ESPN.
That is a pretty interesting list, though. But I mean, I'm not surprised, though, that global soccer players are like in the top 5 or number 1 overall.
I was kind of surprised Messi, though, was number 1.
I'm not surprised.
But
him and Ronaldo being in the top 3 alone is already one thing.
That's true. But I guess we'll see. More soccer. PSG wins Champions League, and Paris riots ensue.
No.
Paris Saint-Germain secured yet another UEFA Champions League title on the pitch, but the post-match celebrations quickly devolved into absolute chaos. Joyous fans turned volatile, clashing violently with law enforcement and turning the streets of Paris into a virtual war zone with heavy property damage, fires, and mass arrests. From a sports branding and public safety perspective, how do massive global clubs like PSG balance the commercial euphoria of winning Europe's biggest trophy with the immense liability of persistent violent fan radicalism in their home cities?
I mean, this feels like the Lakers or Dodgers winning the NBA Finals or the World Series. I mean, I hate to even put this in the universe, Nick, but imagine what New York's going to be like if the Knicks win the damn title.
Well, it's funny you say that because I saw a report that they lifted the ban
on public watch parties. Yeah.
Well, no. They lifted the ban right outside of MSG.
Right.
Can you imagine if they win tonight? Even though it's not in New York?
Forget that. What if they just win the title in general? Could it be a scene like what you've seen when the Lakers have won championships or the Dodgers winning back-to-back World Series championships or the one in 2020 during COVID?
Oh, it's going to be crazy what goes on here. If they win a title, they're going to need, like, remember we saw that video of
Yep.
Don't mind me, my phone. Anyway, I don't know. Just it's going to be in a weird atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing, Nick, to celebrate winning it all, but when you resort though to breaking windows of small businesses around your area, setting cars on fire, vandalizing things, and I think that we saw the video, I think, from Roland Garros of one of the nighttime matches still being played. I mean, in the distance of the stadium, you could see the fireworks going off. People's, car alarms are going off over the course of this tennis match. And I always say that soccer fandom, Nick, is something totally different to the, casual American sports fan. That it's on a different level than you will find here with the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, depending on where it's at. And again, as Mr. Soccer over here, and Trevor can attest for this, though, too, I remember, Nick, that after our games concluded at Snapdragon Stadium for SDFC, I let the stadium die down by going to the parking lot and having more beer. But I remember, though, when we were in the postseason last year, when we had beaten Portland and beaten Minnesota, I mean, we had full-fledged mosh pits. We had fireworks going off in the parking lot. People are, smoking marijuana in the lot, as a celebratory way. But you know what? No, Nick, that happened, though, when the Chargers would be in the playoffs and they would win a game. Case in point, I was at the 08-09 wild card game. You remember the year the Chargers were 4-8? They had to win out to win the AFC West Division title, and they had to play the Colts here. That even though the Colts had won more games, but they weren't a division winner.
Right.
My dad and I were in the upper level of Qualcomm Stadium, sitting in the end zone area where Darren Sproles ran in that game-winning touchdown. I felt the stadium vibrating, shaking, going bananas, and, of course, the fireworks are going off when they win the game. But I tell you what, man, walking out, though, all you're hearing is just people blaring their car horns in the parking lot. People are setting off firecrackers and fireworks in the parking lot. They got music blaring. And it's just, and that's one way that, you would celebrate winning a game. And obviously the Padres had their parades down Fifth Avenue and J Street when they knocked out the Cardinals in the pandemic year in 20, and how they sent the team bus off to or how they sent the team bus off to the airport, and then how they celebrated in downtown San Diego after they knocked out the Dodgers in 22. I even asked my parents actually about when the Chargers went to the Super Bowl in 94 and about the Padres in 98 going to the World Series, that people around where I used to live blaring their horns. People are running out of the bars onto the street without their shirts on, and stuff like that. That there's one way to go about it, though. But Nick, it's not though at the cost though of a family running a business in downtown LA, for example. As as I grew up watching when the Lakers had won their 3 straight titles. I mean, I remember watching KTLA or KCAL 9 when we got them down here on the TV feeds in San Diego. I mean, they had their choppers flying around Staples Center, showing these people burning cars and throwing rocks through the storefronts of these businesses in downtown LA. Like, this is how y'all celebrate winning a championship. And then you see though what happened though real quick with PSG. I mean, obviously, again, soccer is a massive thing over there. That's their lifeblood over in Europe. And by the way that the match went though, of Arsenal taking the early 1-0 lead, PSG ties again, then they win it though in the PK shootout. And again, to Liam's point though, nothing better than watching one of the most stuck-up fan bases in European football lose the championship and see their fan base go up. And by the way, what was interesting? Sidebar from that. Arsenal still held a championship rally for the team after losing that game back in North London because they won the EPL championship. Like, okay, so you celebrate one thing, then you celebrate losing in the final, like poverty franchise behavior by the Cronkies. But again, not the way to go about it though if you're PSG though. I mean, I get it though that it's 2 years in a row though, but not for the toll and loss though of businesses around there, and of course people setting cars on fire and vandalizing storefront property.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and I'm all for fans being excited. If you've been
absolutely 1,000%.
If you've been a fan of a team for a long time, I get it. I've been a Yankee fan since I was 3 years old, and I do remember it actually. You've been a fan of the Padres for how long?
32 years.
So, like, I get it. You want to see your team win. When I saw them win in 09, I was ecstatic. And that's the last time I've celebrated anything as winning a title. I mean, the day that the Jets ever win a title, I'd probably go run around the town, the city, ever. It's not going to happen. But, like, I get it. I get why fans, but you can't vandalize the city or the town that you're in. That's not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. That's not acceptable. Control yourself. Go celebrate. Go to a bar. Go to a sports bar. Celebrate the moment. Don't vandalize anything. You deserve to go to jail if you vandalize something. And I heard the reports that they were firing off fireworks and explosives. And I get other countries are different than we are. I get it. But you can't fire explosives. You can't fire fireworks. That is endangering people.
Yeah.
In every way, shape, or form. So, I don't know, man. People got to learn to control themselves. And if you can't control yourself, then you deserve to be locked up and have the key thrown away. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I don't either, just for the simple fact of that, I recall being in Italy actually about almost nearly 2 decades ago. And the big thing over in Europe is that if you go to a bar, there are signs outside that say you cannot wear a soccer jersey inside, because heaven forbid you go into the wrong bar and it turns into a full-fledged brawl because of who's on your shirt.
Are you kidding me? You know what? You should be able to wear any jersey you want, any jersey that you please, and it shouldn't matter what you wear. Now, what I will tell you is, so I went to Fenway Park quite a few times. I'm a Yankee fan. What do you think I know better than most not to do at Fenway Park?
Wear Yankee gear.
You want to tell the logical reasoning people why you don't do that?
Gee, I wonder why.
You
Bring
feel
it
like
on, old man.
I've seen fights break out. I went to the old Yankee Stadium and I saw Yankees Red Sox. I saw arrests happen
Oh,
like
yeah.
8 or 9 rows below where I was sitting.
I actually went to my first Padre Dodger game since the 2018 or 2019 season about 2 weeks ago after my birthday. And for the first time ever, it was actually a peaceful environment between the Padres and Dodgers, which was very shocking.
Before Padres Dodgers, Dodgers Giants.
Still is out of control.
Was that the one where the fan got
Brian
beat
Stowe,
up?
Brian Stowe,
Where he got beat up to mercilessly, if I remember correctly, and
to the point where he's paralyzed now. Yeah,
and I don't know if I think they did arrest that person, right? If I'm
they're
not
both in
mistaken.
jail. Yes.
I don't care if it's Yankees Red Sox or any game for that matter. You don't lay hands on another fan because they don't root for the team that you don't root for. Okay? It doesn't matter. It looks bad. Yankees Dodgers in the World Series. The 2 idiot fans that grabbed Mookie Betts' hand and almost broke it across the side of the right field wall.
Yes.
I get Yankees Dodgers is a massive rivalry going way back.
Oh,
way
yeah.
back in the day. I don't care. You don't hurt an athlete of any sort. I mean, we've seen it with Yankees Red Sox where those fans get out of control to the point of attacking each other. Now, I don't know if you've seen that in Dodgers Padres where fans attack one another, but
not that I can recall off the top of my head. Only at Dodger Stadium. And it's usually Dodger fans fighting Dodger fans.
or Dodgers fans fighting Giants fans. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I've only been to Dodger Stadium twice, and they happened to play the Padres both times. And other than one time, that. But I mean, I'm going to revert back though on the topic at hand, though, about soccer being out of control, Nick, because sadly, SGFC beats the LA Galaxy last year in San Diego in late May at the death. And all people talked about was how that the San Diego supporters and the Galaxy supporters, the out-of-control hooligans like me, had had massive brawls break out in the upper deck of the stadium, and how that for a full week, it wasn't about the game, Nick. It was about how the fan bases had fought each other and how more measures had to be taken, especially back in May, about last month, that the LAFC fans, who actually they didn't have anything break out that I recall happening with them, but more with just the Galaxy, that they have further been stricter about the visiting fans like LA and LA coming to town, that now they further have fenced, because again, and I saw this firsthand, as I will document a bit later as the World Cup prolongs here, about going to an away game as a visiting fan in Major League Soccer. Now, it was the first ever time that we played a game for retrospective back in February of last year. Usually, though, Nick, when you go as a fan to a opposing venue like BMO Stadium or DHSP in Carson, you are essentially a prison mate. You are caged inside of one part of the stadium with your own, restaurants, concession stands, merch, and bathrooms. You are not allowed to legally leave that area until the game is over. And even then, you have to wait about an hour for the whole stadium to empty up, because they don't want anything to happen between San Diego and LA fans, LA, San Jose, New York and New Jersey, New York fans, for example. And it was very loose that first game I went there. Well, when we went there. So again, this is actually filling time to get to the top of the hour. So we leave San Diego at like 10 o'clock in the morning, I'd say about 10 o'clock in the morning for a 4 o'clock game, Pacific time. We get to Carson, and I don't know if you know about Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson. It's got the soccer stadium and a tennis stadium all on the same property. We park behind the tennis stadium, and we walk in through the backside of DHSP, and we're held there until they actually open the gates for the Galaxy fans to show up. So that was at 2:30 Pacific, I want to say. So about an hour and a half beforehand. We do our pregame march in towards our section. Nothing happens. at all, other than just a couple of these being flipped by both fan bases. But what else is new when it comes to that whole thing? We are confined to 4 sections of the upper mezzanine level of the stadium with security. And yes, the LA County Sheriff's Office was also watching in full force to keep anyone away that wasn't wearing San Diego gear from our section, because they didn't want anything to happen during that game. And I'll tell you what, Nick, they did a phenomenal job with that, because they deal every year with LAFC fans and obviously the Earthquakes. That's been a major rivalry for 30 years between the Galaxy and the Quakes. So, but again, we have our own section, though, of restaurants, bathrooms, whatnot. There were a few clashes, but nothing, that turned physical, whatnot. And I was, minding my own business, walking around the stadium. I knew some people that are Galaxy fans and stuff. And, they were saying, hey, it's great that you guys finally have a club down there. We've been waiting for so long to, see that market take off, though. And, and I, took a bit of a lap around, because I know the PA guy for them, who's also a Angels colleague of mine and whatnot. And that stadium is, that stadium is really nice, believe it or not, though it's in a very, it's on a college campus. So anyway, game, so the game goes. We win the game 2-0. And first ever win in club history. We beat the defending MLS Cup champions that day. Like, we're on an absolute high that we as an expansion team just beat the top team from last season and got to spoil their party at their home stadium. Then we have to wait over an hour to leave the stadium, because they're afraid if you leave right away that, you could be like, yeah, we won the game, and then you're in a body bag and going to the morgue, because of how the fan bases can be, or how, that can happen. So we're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting till the last LA Galaxy fan leaves their home stadium. And then security, the sheriff's office, the LAPD, they're all walking on the sides of us just so nothing happens on our way out of the stadium. So I'm walking with, with a bunch of people that I know, which this led, though, Nick, to the big issue that we had in San Diego in May, that during the game or after the game, somehow, some way, Galaxy supporters snuck up to our section and stole one of the flags from one of our supporter groups. That right there is a declaration of war amongst the supporters and the hooligans of soccer, that you do that, you're asking to get your ass kicked. But before I get to that part, so we're walking out of the stadium, and I've got the LA County Sheriff's Office walking me out of this. It feels like you're a damn prison inmate. And she turns to me and she says, I've been working crowd control here at the stadium since it opened up in 2003. And I've dealt with a lot of really shitty people from Chivas USA, LAFC, the Quakes, international clubs. This right here was the best visiting group fans that we've ever had in the stadium, because you guys were not out of control. You didn't break anything. You did what you had to do. You guys won the game. You got to celebrate, and nobody did anything wrong whatsoever. We didn't have to kick any of you guys out or put anybody in handcuffs. Bravo. Thank you for being great people like you guys were. And that's a
little scary, though.
And
that they
say that. Well, and again, that's just about, but again, you're dealing with shitheads from downtown LA, shitheads from San Jose.
No, I get that. But I'm just saying that's scary that they have to say to you, we didn't put somebody in handcuffs.
Because they were of the belief it was going to happen, because of how the Padres and Dodgers rivalry has exploded in the last several years. And a lot of people are Padre fans in this market. And obviously the Dodgers are the Dodgers and whatnot. And LA is a Dodger town and always will be. And so all that, happens in February. Then come May, Nick, I'm not able to go to that game against the Galaxy. We win the game at the death in stoppage time. We win the game 2-1. And then I see all the videos on social media from the press box of San Diego fans getting their retribution for what the Galaxy fan base did to our supporters up in Carson by swiping the flag. I mean, full-fledged fights, people almost getting thrown off the upper deck of a stadium in that area. Fights. I mean, it got so bad. The police had to come in and bring in the chopper, and they had to say, you must leave the premises now or you will be arrested. And that happened right after the most recent LAFC match this year. Nobody could stay behind in the parking lot. They had to they basically said, if you don't leave right after the game's over, you will be arrested. We're not going to have this stuff happen again like what we saw last year.
Wow. That's kind of nuts.
So, we can talk about, great NFL rivalries and how fan bases are, but give me a soccer rivalry any day of the week and twice on Sunday. What do we got?
So, update, there is a response from Terry Rozier.
Oh, boy.
Terry Rozier is pushing back on an arbitration ruling that allows the NBA to withhold most of the remaining $26.6 million on his Heat contract, arguing court-imposed conditions tied to his federal gambling case block his ability to sign with another team. Buddy, you're not signing with another NBA team. Your career is cooked.
Yeah, all because of your damn stupidity.
You're an overcooked chicken right now. You're overcooked. You think you're coming back to the NBA?
No.
Seriously?
No way.
And then some other news. The 2026 Pop-Tarts Bowl will return.
Yes.
Tuesday, December 29th on ESPN. Last year's game was the most watched non-CFP or New Year's Six bowl game since the 2019-20 season, drawing 8.7 million viewers.
Because people love the fun of the bowl game and how Pop-Tarts has gone about branding this damn game. Simple as that.
I mean, I don't love the whole bowl game system in general, just because a lot of it is sponsor-based. But
that and it's also giving a market like San Diego a chance to have top-flight college football come to the market during a very terrible time for weather when it's 75 and sunny around Christmas time out here.
No, I get that, but it's just like enough.
Not to mention we're going to be having 2 bowl games in San Diego this upcoming winter.
I don't know. I'd rather the World Cup than like all the bowl game stuff.
Yeah, all we're getting out here is going to be the 2 exhibition games this weekend with the Swiss national team and the Aussies, and then Jordan and Colombia playing at Snapdragon this weekend for World Cup tune-up games.
And by the way, speaking of those tune-up games, mark your calendars for June 10th at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, because that is the official premiere of Empty the Pitch. Our very own Callan McClurg is teaming up with
Trevor Williams. Let's
Trevor
go.
Williams to bring you the most comprehensive, unfiltered preview of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Then lace up your boots because our daily full tournament coverage officially kicks off on June 13th at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Don't miss a single match analysis or breaking story. Empty the Pitch is your ultimate home for the World Cup.
Oh, man. The fact we're a week away, though, from the preview show and a week away from being able to go and check out the New Zealand national team practice here in San Diego, my goodness. And the fact that, and I think more importantly, the fact, though, Nick, that event sold out so quickly. Now, again, all the tickets were free via the university. But still, though, now there's a waiting list. I got the email about in the afternoon yesterday that there's a waiting list. Like, there's really that big of a demand to go watch the Kiwis practice for the World Cup?
You know what? People like insider access. It's all part of it. All fans like insider access, getting to see things that they don't get to see on a daily basis. So I kind of get it in that sense. I mean, look what we're doing with this show. You're going to get insider access and things that you don't normally get to see.
Yeah, and that again, folks, to recap real quick about that, and we're still finalizing the schedule, though, but that insider access includes the open practice next Wednesday and 3, potentially 4 on-site watch party content days of 4 beachfront watch parties here in San Diego, California, literally on the beach front at a giant gymnasium for the Fit Gym Company. Right by the famed Giant Dipper roller coaster in Mission Beach. I'll be on site for at least 3 or 4 games over that tournament or over the tournament span, though. So, again, there'll be a formal announcement, though, coming out when we actually finalize all this. I've been working on the spreadsheet, though, for the scheduling so we can get all of our proverbial ducks in the row here. But also, not just that, 3 instant reaction post-game shows following the 3 U.S. men's national team games, though, on the 12th, 19th, and 25th. So again, Nick, so many moving parts here, and soccer now on ETB, and with where I think, Nick, that this program is going to go with the numbers, count on more soccer content coming your way, though, here across the seasons.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming up. I mean, between soccer, we have NBA finals post-game shows coming up. So don't miss that as you see it scrolling across the bottom now. Johnny Montalbano, myself, and some others. Tonight, ETB NBA Finals post-game reaction show. This is going to be a fun night. I mean, how often do you... I mean, it's the pinnacle of the NBA.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to really...
I mean, almost in a way, I don't want to say it fully is, but almost it's like a nice little flashback to the playback TV days. Like we won't have like the watch party, but we have the instant reaction though when the game concludes.
I mean, I could just tell you about it. The final buzzer is sounded and the emotions are running high, but the conversation is just getting started. You're locked in with the Empty the Bench Network, whether you're riding the high of a championship victory or feeling the sting of a hard-fought loss. That'll be the Knicks tonight. This is the only place to be for the most raw, unfiltered, and expert analysis on the web. Join myself and Johnny Montalbano and the entire ETB crew as we break down every possession, every coaching decision, and every defining moment of these 2026 NBA Finals. We aren't just giving you the box score. We're giving you the story behind the game. Don't miss a second of our post-game deep dives. If you haven't already, head over to youtube.com/ETB Network right now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a live show. And make sure to follow us on X for real-time updates and community debates throughout the series. This is the home of authentic sports talk. This is Empty the Bench Network. Let's keep this conversation going.
Oh, man, going to be a fun night and a fun few weeks, as we've already said, though, folks, when, in fact, we get to Empty the Pitch. We got NBA Finals. We got, all the UFC stuff we already talked about. So much great stuff coming with. So please make us your permanent home, though, for all things digital sports content here on ETB. With that, though, Nick, to hour 3 we go. We kind of teased this a little bit, though, during the DirecTV story. But, of course, this happened over the weekend, though. But, Nick, a power outage during the Texas Tech-Tennessee softball game for the Women's College World Series. Cut the live ABC television feed. The blackout left fans in the dark for a critical stretch of gameplay before power and broadcast feeds could be successfully restored, though, including Holly Rowe going live on Instagram, delivering some very much ad-lib style play-by-play, while also fans drew the line of the sand, though, that this would never happen for a men's event when it came to technical difficulties during a broadcast. But, Nick, though, with women's college sports, though, drawing more and more record-breaking TV ratings over the last 2 years, how damaging, though, is a infrastructure failure like this, though, for both ESPN and ABC when they're trying to showcase a premium championship event to millions of primetime viewers on a given Saturday afternoon?
This is odd because I said to you the other day, it all depends how the power outage happened. It probably was a production truck issue, if I had to take a guess. And if you remember, I forgot which it was. Was it the Pacers OKC final that had the bad storms?
Yes.
And ESPN and ABC weren't sure if they were going to be able to get the production truck all set up to distribute the game. Now, you said there was wind in the area when this was going on?
Wind, and also there may have been a storm cell moving through, which could have maybe interfered with the satellite during that game.
Yeah, I think that wind affects electricity and affects distribution channels. But I don't know what the full reasoning was. Like, we never got an official word, but it ended up going into like a red screen in a sense, which you knew the feed was out. And then you had Holly Rowe, who was doing like play-by-play on an Instagram live feed. And then you had the camera behind home plate, which was a whole different issue in itself because they were trying to get a one-shot set up so that they could call the game. And then Westwood One called them out on X saying, thanks for using our stuff, which was bizarre in every way, shape, or form. But I just say this is par for the course. You're going to get tech issues that happen when you're trying to distribute an event.
Yeah, I mean, there. I don't think there really is, though, a fail-safe, I should say, Nick, when it comes, though, to this happening. Whether you have a backup generator, maybe a backup truck is on hand. But again, this is sadly, though, I think, Nick, something out of ABC and ESPN's control, that the truck maybe malfunctions or that a storm moving through disrupts the broadcast. Sadly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to blame them fully because, again, it takes a army to run these events. The women's college, whether it's the Women's College World Series, whether it's the World Series, whether it's the NBA Finals, it takes a huge village army to run these events. It's not 2-3 people does it all. You need a team that can handle all the ifs, ands, and buts that could possibly go down in the process. They get to the sites, what, like a week or two in advance sometimes to make sure they
Yes.
test out all these things. And mistakes can still happen. Or not even mistakes, just distribution issues happen. And these are expensive operations. People don't realize these are millions of dollars of operation that go down.
Yeah, they are.
And then when they miss certain things or they mess up an operation where people can't see the game, people are pissed.
Yeah, rightfully so, though.
So I can't blame this on ESPN. Like, it's probably just a production truck issue where and it could be a HQ issue where the feed gets sent into. Also, we don't know. So I'm not going to judge them because I don't know.
Exactly. With that in mind, Nick, we have a developing story real quick from AA.
Uh-oh.
Another health scare or health issue has plagued another longtime host, though, Nick, but John Kincaid has announced that he is going to be departing 97.5 The Fanatic after having after beating cancer 3 times, and his doctors have told him about the long-term toll of the 4 a.m. call time for his work obligations.
Yeah, so John Kincaid goes back a ways. He was at ESPN Radio for many years. He was part of, when it was CBS Sports Radio on the weekends. I think he was in Atlanta locally for a long period of time. And now he's in Philadelphia. And this is the first time I'm hearing this, by the way. But I think he had either stage 3 or stage 4, possibly cancer. I get it, man. Those hours are brutal. Getting up at 4 a.m. Now, I get it with the health struggles. That's probably tough to continue to do. To be on your game from 6 to 10 a.m. every morning. 4 hours. People are like, oh, it's 20 hours a week. No. People don't realize how hard radio is to work in, to be a producer. Like, I did it working on a syndicated program and the hours, even though the show was on from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern, the hours of the show were considered 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, I lived that for a week when I was working for iHeartMedia at News Radio 600 Kogo here in San Diego a few years ago. I mean, you're talking about, Nick, at least for myself, again, you're a sports guy and you're going into, news production. And when you've never had that rigid schedule, though, of getting up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to get to the studio in time to start your shift, and you're working 4 a.m. to noon, and eating PB&Js for lunch at 8 o'clock in the morning, as I was doing for that week, and you've never done that before, like it throws you for a massive loop. And eventually I had to step away from it because the demands of that schedule, along with that call time, trying to, adjust accordingly for it, it was not a good fit. And I understand, again, though, but John Kincaid already having lingering health problems as is, though, beforehand. I mean, Sally, I'm not surprised about him stepping away, though. And maybe it's for the betterment, though, of his health, as we already said.
I mean, you've heard the many stories I've said. I worked overnights for almost 2 years, 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then you get a call that says, someone can't make it. Can you turn around and come back at noon? And remember, traveling back and forth to the city is not close either. Working in radio is hard. Whether you're the talent, whether you are the producer, the board op, the social media person, it doesn't matter. Working in this industry, period, is tough.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of hours we put in to run this operation is crazy. But we do it because we know we're growing and we want to hit a spot eventually where we can monetize, and then it becomes easier to do.
Right.
So if you're getting in this business because you think you're going to get rich quick, then leave. Leave now. Because it just, you're not going to be successful if you think this is a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it's not. So hopefully John Kincaid can get his cancer diagnosis under control and beat it. Unfortunately, and I'm sure you know this too, when you get cancer once, unfortunately, there's a chance it comes back. So I think that's unfortunately what Kincaid is kind of fighting right now, currently.
Nick, another update real quick. Today, of course, began the testimony of the Protect College Sports Act today, including legendary Alabama head coach Nick Saban, who testified as well early this morning, but to no surprise, probably, both the Big Ten and SEC released a joint statement per AA, reading in part about the Protect College Sports Act. So they say in part that both the Big Ten Conference and the Southeastern Conference support a sustainable national framework for college sports, one with an effective transfer portal, clear eligibility standards, and also protections and benefits for student athletes. While we appreciate the support and leadership of both Senators Ted Cruz and also Cantwell in pursuing these shared goals, we do not support the Protect College Sports Act as drafted. The bill leaves critical issues unresolved, and it does not meaningfully preempt the patchwork of state laws or provide the protections needed to make and enforce consistent rules, both essential to long-term stability in college athletics, while also shifting ongoing rulemaking to Congress, limiting the ability to adapt quickly as the landscape evolves. Rather than reducing litigation, the bill likely expands it without offering clear alternatives for dispute resolution. Finally, the bill alters the House settlement revenue sharing framework in a way that may result in fewer student athletes receiving direct revenue share payments.
This whole thing is so confusing to me, this bill. And they're trying to figure out how to basically, can we call a spade there? I said it. That the whole NIL situation has caused a massive jam in the system when it comes to how college athletes are handled. And we might as well throw Brandon Sorsby into this too, because think about how NIL has destroyed the sport in a lot of ways, or sports, college sports.
And you don't have to tell me that twice as Mr. Mid-major. I constantly, Nick, see the transfer news of athletes that played at my university that are moving on for playing time or whatever it is. I mean, you could say it's playing time, Nick. We know why you're doing it. I mean, you're not fooling anybody.
You're going to a bigger school because they're willing to pay for you to come there. I mean, I don't love this system at all. People are going to say, but Nick, the schools benefit and make all the money and the athletes make nothing. Well, by putting NILs in place, you are basically de-incentivizing them to work hard.
Precisely.
And people are going to say, but how does that make any sense? Think about a professional athlete once they get paid. What happens once they work so hard to get that long-term contract and they finally get it? What happens?
It's usually gone.
No, but I'm saying once a professional athlete, they get that big 10-year contract, and they don't try as hard because they got the money.
Yeah.
They have the stability. They're guaranteed the contract. They have all that money. Why try hard anymore?
Yeah. I mean, just ask the San Diego Padres.
And now you're doing it in college sports. You really think those athletes are going to care if they do something stupid, or they're guaranteed the money? They don't care.
Yeah, unless you transfer, you have to pay back your old university, or should I say your old employer.
The only thing that is saving the school or schools at that point is that the GPA requirement.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if there was no GPA requirement?
Oh, don't say that.
No, I'm saying just imagine if there wasn't, and that you could just get an NIL deal and everybody can run wild. You wouldn't have to go to class at that point if there's no GPA requirement.
Exactly.
Now, I think schools would frown upon that, but I don't know if this bill is really going to help, to be honest.
No, I don't think so either. I just think that, we can introduce all the bills on Capitol Hill. Oh, I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill, whatever. Yeah, but even then, it's not going to really, I think, move the needle, Nick, to actually crack down on what it is. I mean, at the rate we're going, though, it's gonna. I think it will. I think it will continue to differ from state to state. Honestly,
I'm not a fan, like I said, of the NILs. I think it makes these college athletes greedy and like they have more power than everybody else. I mean, heck, you're seeing college athletes with deals that are saying, "Oh, my coach is in another place. I demand to go there." Like they're a real professional athlete. I don't know how you stop it. This bill's not going to change anything.
mm-hmm.
It's just going to make everything a giant headache
Yeah.
for your. Let's just call it like it is. Can we just turn college sports and make it have regular free agency at this point? Because that's what you're doing.
The way we're going. Yeah. With that in mind, Nick, let's move on here. Back to all things hockey. A shakeup again in the Seattle Kraken front office, but billionaire philanthropist Melinda French Gates, of course, the wife of Microsoft founder Bill Gates, has now joined the sports ownership landscape as she has finalized a deal to join the Seattle Kraken's ownership group as a new minority investor, further anchoring her capital and influence in the Pac Northwest and their sports marketplace. Nick, Melinda French Gates, though, has been known, though, for her massive wealth or focusing her wealth on global health and gender equality. But what does the entry now into the NHL ownership signal about the financial allure and prestige of professional sports teams as asset classes for elite tech wealth like the Gates family?
So we started to talk about this last night. My theory is that this has nothing to do with money. She has more money than she probably knows what to do with. I think this is the new stock market investment. Like when you enter your portfolio and you buy stocks, like my brother's helped me done for years. So I have an investment portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
When people have millions of dollars or so, and I don't know, she might even have billions depending on how that is. This is investment. This is clearly investment. She's not going to be involved in the day-to-day operations of this ownership group. This is going to be, it's a great investment, and I can't remember her name, the one who's running that operation, that ownership group.
Samantha Holloway is now a majority owner and managing partner of what's called One Roof Sports,
which is going to have eventually the Supersonics coming back to the NBA, which has the Kraken.
Supersonics. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Had to say it.
But this is clearly just investment. Because when people have that type of money, investing in a franchise is a good investment in sports. You're going to make money. You're always going to make return on your money, even if the team doesn't win.
Yeah.
So that's all it is.
Yeah, with that, Nick, here actually is the One Roof Sports and Entertainment organization that manages the franchise, the arena, and other assets around town. Majority leadership now falls to Samantha Holloway, who is the executive leader and face of the group. She assumed the majority owner role following the death of her father, David Bonderman, the billionaire co-founder of private tech firm TPG, who originally anchored the Seattle Hockey Partners Group that secured the expansion bid for the franchise. Key investors and minority owners now include Melinda French Gates. This marks her first ownership stake in a major pro sports franchise, drawn to the organization's civic and community initiatives. Her addition makes the Kraken one of the few franchises spearheaded by multiple high-profile women in top leadership roles. Andy Jassy, who's the president and CEO of Amazon. Andy's involvement was heavily tied to the tech giant's massive presence in Seattle, and also the fact that Amazon bought the naming rights for the new arena, but going by Climate Pledge Arena, not by Amazon. Legendary Hollywood film and TV producer Jerry Bruckheimer is part of the group as well, as is David Wright, not the former Mets great, but also a businessman and chairman of Seattle-based Wright Runstad and Company, which is local real estate and civic ties with investment team, and also includes Macklemore and Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, that makes sense because Marshawn Lynch was with the Seahawks for all those years. Macklemore, I think, is from Seattle.
Yes.
I think.
Yes, he is.
So that all makes sense. I don't know where Melinda Gates fits in here, though. Well, actually, I just thought of it. Microsoft was is HQ'd in Seattle.
Yes.
Otherwise, I don't think there'd be any other reason why she's taking part in it.
I mean, honestly, all they need to have is like the CEO of Starbucks become an investor. They have like every major Seattle company like taking over, like that, or get Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters, who was part of Nirvana, to take ownership eventually. I mean, if you really want to make it a Seattle franchise, you got to go to like Boeing, Alaska Airlines, Starbucks, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam. I mean, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
Do I think it's going to? From what I understand, that ownership group has done a really good job so far.
They've been great. They've been awesome.
They did a really good job when they brought the Kraken into the NHL. They did a good job of that.
Virtually every game is sold out up there at Climate Pledge.
Now they just got to figure out how they're going to reintroduce the Supersonics back into the NBA. How they're going to pull that off, I don't know. But
yeah, you got to buy that, get all that back from the Thunder first when that happens.
But this is strictly an investment. She's not going to be involved in the day-to-day. It's a good financier, if you ask me.
Agreed.
That's all it is. It's a wallet. It's pretty much all right. Let's move on to Jeremy Lin. So ESPN announced a major addition to its broadcast roster for the NBA Finals, which start tonight, officially hiring former NBA champion and global icon Jeremy Lin. Lin will provide studio analysis and tactical commentary across ESPN's multiple platform coverage throughout the championship series. Jeremy Lin brings an incredible, unique perspective as a former player who lived through the absolute peak of intense global media. How does this help?
First on the scene, yeah.
Ironically, with the Knicks, how does this help ESPN?
I mean, I'm one that believes, Nick, that former players have the best perspective as a broadcaster. Usually, not all the time, but sometimes they usually do. And I think if memory serves me correctly, wasn't he already doing some stuff for ESPN before this news came out, though? Back,
yes,
either recently or whatnot.
Yes, no, recently he's been on NBA Today a bunch as a contributor. This makes most sense, especially with the Knicks being in the NBA Finals, going through the Linsanity era with Carmelo Anthony, and how that kind of led to some jealousy from Carmelo Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes sense. I'm surprised Jeremy Lin wasn't brought into broadcasting earlier. He actually, from a perspective, does a really good job. But I don't know. It's just adding another former player to the mix. It's not really a big deal.
Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary, because usually there's always, special contributors, Nick, throughout a final series, like having, Jeremy Duped now for the NBA Finals or other things of that caliber or whatnot. So, I mean, this is nothing new at this rate. And I think he will, though, bring something good to the table when it comes to how he'll break down these games, though, for the finals on ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much else I can really say about it. I mean, they also have Iman Shumpert.
Yeah.
Or not Iman Shumpert. Is that who it was that's working for ESPN?
Or Landry Shamet.
No, Landry Shamet's on the team.
Yeah, Iman Shumpert is on ESPN too, yes.
So another former Knick. Not much to really crow about here. This is just ESPN trying to beef up, adding former players. I mean, heck, they're going to have Inside NBA doing finals coverage for the first time ever.
Where are we going, Chet? Are we going, Chuck? Galveston.
We're going to get street meat. Such a dumb thing by Chuck. I get it. I know they say that eating dirty water dogs in New York. I see them everywhere. Don't eat them. Please. I beg you, don't eat them. I've never had one. Don't eat it.
All right, now, Nick, we'll get to some other pressing stories here. We'll fill some time here for the next, I'd say, 10 to 15 minutes or so here, roughly. But, of course, Nick, the big news that also broke today is that North Carolina State and Virginia have announced that their Week 0 game set for Rio de Janeiro has been moved back to Charlottesville, Virginia, per reports put out today regarding the game that was dubbed the College Football Brazil game over the course of August 29th. Usually week 0 games are scheduled for the week before the official season begins because of travel arrangements. The recent stretch, though, of week 0 games in Dublin would fall into this category at this rate and point in time. Nick, we don't really know the full scope of why this game has been moved out of Rio de Janeiro, but we believe it's more of a financial thing more than anything else, though, unless there's a follow-up that you can provide.
So this is a Reuters story, and I haven't seen this update yet, but the NC State UVA opener is being moved from Brazil to Charlottesville. So that would be what? That would be for NC State then?
No, that would be for Virginia.
Or was that for Virginia?
Yeah, NC State plays in Raleigh-Durham.
Oh, that's right. So season opening football game between North Carolina State and Virginia will no longer be played in Brazil. Both ACC schools announced Wednesday that the contest will be held August 29th, so it's week 0, in Charlottesville, Virginia. Billed as the first college football game played in South America, it originally was scheduled to take place at Nilton Santos Stadium in Rio de Janeiro. The decision to relocate came after, quote, an extensive review with operational partners and international stakeholders involved in the game, according to a release. This change allows communication from Athlete Advantage, which informed the ACC that and participating schools that the event could not be conducted.
Yikes.
That still doesn't really give me much of an answer, though. I mean, you said that there is some safety issues down in Brazil. That's what I'm thinking it probably is more of. Even though they haven't announced
wasn't there an issue in Sao Paulo or in the Brazil game that the Packers and whoever they played were like told to not leave the hotel when they first got into town?
Yeah, I heard that. But I don't know what to make of this. This is probably a money issue also.
Gotta be.
Because of all the private equity bullcrap that we've talked about on this show many times. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest.
Nick, Russell Wilson is set to join CBS to replace former Falcon QB Matt Ryan on the NFL Today studio program per FOS. Russell Wilson's 14-year career as quarterback for Seattle, Denver, Pittsburgh, and the Giants, which included 10 Pro Bowl selections and a Super Bowl championship. He also has crossover entertainment appeal, though, as he is married to famous singer Ciara. Spokespeople for CBS did not respond to comment, though, nor did Steph Jones, who was Wilson's publicist. Russell told the New York Post back in May that he had an offer to be a backup quarterback for the Jets on the season, but departed the job, or Matt Ryan departs his job after 3 years to become the president of football operations for the Atlanta Falcons, who he played for 14 NFL seasons. Nick, your thoughts?
Broncos country, let's ride. Yeah. Am I surprised? No. He actually is pretty good, like discussing the X's and O's of the game. So this is not a shocker to me.
Not at all.
But it was time. It was time. He had to go. He just couldn't throw the football or avoid the defense anymore. And you know what? It makes sense. CBS had an opening with Matt Ryan now going into the front office of the Falcons. So I think they did a good job there.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, I think Russ can bring a lot of to the table. Yeah, Christie, I think, yeah, he needed to move on. I mean, I think that, you know, weren't you going to like boycott the season if the Jets signed Russell Wilson?
That would have been ridiculous.
That would have been funny. That would have been great.
He needed to be out of the league.
Nick, in the WNBA, retired players are about to get a multi-million-dollar gift from the league front office, as both the WNBA and WNBPA announced last Friday that they have completed the full CBA more than 2 months after they agreed to a deal that allowed the season to start on time. The CBA now contains a clause called the VRP, or Veteran Recognition Payment System, that will pay retired players with at least 5 years of league experience a lump sum worth as much as $100,000. With that in mind, the breakdown for this though is that if you played 5 to 7 years, you get 30,000. 8 to 11 years, 50,000, and beyond 12 years is $100,000. Total payout will be for roughly past $14 million. A source familiar with the matter tells FOS about 280 players who retired before the season are included in the payment, including Tina Charles, who retired 3 days before the season began back in May. Nick, about damn time, I'd say, huh?
Yeah, really. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think it's long overdue, Nick, for how so many of these household names, like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird and Candace Parker, though they had their endorsements, they finally, like Nick, get their flowers for their dedication to the league for as long as they played in this league when they weren't getting as much media coverage as they are now. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's part of the CBA deal. It was all part of that situation where the players needed to be paid. It's almost like a pension system, in a sense, where they get paid when their career's over, and they didn't have it, and now they finally have it. It's what the players fought for.
Nick, the college football playoff is taking new measures to avoid more competition from the National Football League. For the first time ever in the CFP era of 12 teams, the 4 quarterfinal games in the upcoming postseason will not be played on consecutive days. Both the CFP, ESPN, and TNT Sports released the kickoff times already in broadcast info for the CFP, which will kick off this week, this week they released the information, I should say. Turner Sports, or TNT, will air the first quarterfinal game in the Fiesta Bowl on December 30th at 4:30 Pacific time, and the other 3 quarterfinal games, the Cotton Bowl, Peach Bowl, and Rose Bowl, will be played 2 days later on New Year's Day across both Turner and ESPN. However, this year's Amazon Prime Video's TNF game with the Ravens-Bengals matchup on New Year's Eve is why this move was made, and also that last year there were 5 bowl games on New Year's Eve, which culminated with the Miami's stunning victory over Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl that night. And this year's full non-CFP bowl schedule has not yet been released. I mean, Nick, I'm not surprised though. You don't want the competition to spoil the CFP for these kids in college against the NFL.
All right, this is all greediness again with the CFP. Just leave the CFP alone. Like, leave it alone. I don't want to add more teams to it. I don't need to complicate it. Just let them play the games. Like, why do we have to be so difficult about this?
Yeah, I don't get it either. I really don't.
It's ridiculous, man. Like, let the teams play. Like, we already had to be assholes over the fact that Notre Dame bitched and moaned. So now there's a stipulation that they basically have to be in the playoffs every year, even if they don't win the proper amount of games to get in. What's next? Are we just going to put every SEC team in? Is that going to be a stipulation?
No, we're going to have an all-star game, which is SEC versus everybody.
Ugh. You know why? And this is why I get into fights with DMART all the time over the college football playoffs, because stop it. Like, I don't want to hear that the SEC has a tougher schedule and that losses count more than wins. Just make it stop. Enough.
Nick, the NHL is bringing back the All-Star Game next year in your neck of the woods in Elmont, New York at UBS Arena, though, but with a twist that some fans will, in fact, that fans will enjoy. A 2-day event will include 10 players, 25 or younger, competing in established events like the fastest skater, hardest shot, passing challenge, one-time shots, stick handling, and accuracy shooting. The focus, though, on the younger players leans into a obvious league goal of promoting the emerging youth talent, including Calder Trophy winner Matthew Schaefer, who's said to be one of the top 10 players in this contest, though. Then, Nick, a 3-on-3 round-robin tournament, but Team USA, Canada, Sweden, Finland, and the World Team will play for a $2 million cash prize, though, involving a round-robin format of a 5-minute game of 3-on-3 with no OT or shootouts to break ties, and more importantly, the final game will be a 10-minute overtime period, or game, I should say, to decide the winner. I think, Nick, though, we could say, well, hey, the NBA did this whole thing, though. The NHL, though, took off, though. But again, this is the 4 nations plus 1, though, in this format, though, coming up for the All-Star Game, though, in Elmont, New York next year.
Actually, you could say they both copied soccer, to be honest, with
True.
this format. Like, if actually, this is like a small version of the World Cup, actually,
Yeah.
if you think about it.
Or the Olympics.
Or the Olympics. Well, I would say strictly the World Cup because of the elimination formats and all that stuff. But I miss the old side versus side in the All-Star games. Give me the old-fashioned East versus West. I'm tired of this. Now we're mixing teams up in the NBA. We're mixing teams up by country. NBA did USA versus the world. First of all, that's kind of a mismatch in the NBA now. Because wouldn't you say that the NBA is way more international than it is from the US, it feels like?
Yes.
Or at least the best players are international. I mean,
Yes.
just make it stop. Just give me the two conferences against one another and call it a day. Like, am I crazy for thinking that way?
No, I mean, I get it that it's like tradition. It's part of the pageantry that it's always AL versus NL. It was AFC versus NFC when the Pro Bowl was an actual thing in Honolulu about 30 years ago. East versus West. Major League Soccer does their All-Stars versus a foreign club to do measuring stick of where is soccer in America right now. So it's the MLS best versus, I don't know, some big club from Mexico or Europe or what have you. I don't even know I don't even know if they've even announced who the opponent will be for Team US or for the MLS All-Stars, I should say, in Charlotte coming up in a few months in July when that's all said and done. But yeah, I mean, I like the idea. I think they're trying, though, in a way to capture lightning in the bottle, though, with how, hey, Team USA wins the gold medal for the first time in 41 years at the Olympic Games since the Miracle on Ice, or the Four Nations face-off was this or that. So, I mean, I'm all for it. And you know, the difference, though, is that the NHL actually plays the All-Star game like it's an actual game, and they don't take shifts off, unlike basketball.
That's part of the problem. Like, when you look at the NBA All-Star game, they're either shooting threes or they're throwing alley-oops or dunks, and they're not playing damn defense at all. In hockey, you kind of have to play defense.
Yeah, otherwise the games could still be like 11-10, but at least there's still some defense being played.
And you can't really do like trick shots, so to speak, really, in a hockey All-Star game, right?
I mean, you can pull off the Michigan, and that's more reserved though for like the day beforehand when they have the skills competition.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what makes the NBA All-Star game basically non-existent is you see guys throwing behind the back passes and alley-oops and throwing the ball over their head, like, because the NBA All-Star game is slow. You can halt the game to a snail's pace and throw alley-oops. They're going to shoot 100 threes on each side.
So I misspoke, actually, Nick. So in the last couple of years, actually, I looked up MLS's All-Star game because it used to be East versus West. Then it grew, though, to MLS versus the world. When I say that, I mean versus a foreign club who would come to America during their summer tour to get ready for their next season. That's been a very big thing. I recall plenty of times of like Inter Milan playing against the Galaxy, for example, or Barcelona playing at the Rose Bowl, for example, as part of a American tour over the summer, because the summer is when they actually have their down season for European and Spanish soccer. But what they have done now is that it's now All-Stars versus All-Stars. And I say that MLS is playing Liga MX, which is the Mexican Pro League, in the All-Star game again in Charlotte. So more importantly, I think, Nick, you have to put together a roster for the MLS side from 30 clubs, while down south, they pick from 18 teams in their league.
I don't know. I think we're trying too hard to make All-Star games a spectacle when they don't really need to be.
Yeah. I mean, and again, the only reason why that I brought the MLS All-Star game is that theirs is more of what I have long been told. One of my friends, Christian Enciso, who you might see during the Mexico-Korea content dump that I have for Empty the Pitch, he's got family in Guadalajara. His family's going to the World Cup down there in Guadalajara at Estadio Akron down there. I remember asking him when we first were working together in indoor soccer about almost a decade plus ago, you know, why does Major League Soccer do their All-Star game kind of ass backwards, where they play versus Arsenal or Barcelona or some big European club, because, the gringo over here, the American soccer fan is always like, why is it not East versus West? Because you're so used to it, as you said, though, Nick. He says they do it to measure where is American soccer. It's a measuring stick about, is MLS actually growing? Can they compete on a global stage, though, against these European powerhouses? I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, though. That's where they've gone. Plus, it also drives attendance, though, where, again, if it's just East versus West, you bring in a club, though, like PSG, for example, that thing sells out in 30 seconds. You bring Barcelona over, that sells out in 10 seconds. You bring over any big club from Europe or even from Mexico, that will sell out. I can already guarantee you right now, when we get to August, Nick, when the Leagues Cup starts up again, another in-season tournament, SDFC's got Club America in Mexico, Tijuana, and Puebla. Tijuana, of course, Nick, is right across the border from San Diego. And you're going to play the Cholos twice in San Diego, one, though, for a tournament and one for an exhibition game. That's going to sell out like that when those tickets go on sale very, very quickly. So, I mean, I know the logic is weird, though, about why does America have to, play against the world when it comes to the MLS All-Star game? Because they want to see, though, Nick, is the game actually making any progress when you put this together? Now, by the way, the last time that we did see the MLS All-Stars play against a foreign side, Arsenal beat them 5-0 in D.C. in 2023.
Wow. I don't know. These All-Star festivities across all sports are just frustrating. And I don't think we need All-Star games anymore, to be honest. They should have an All-Star fan fest and let everybody come down and hang out with the players and whatever and whatnot. But an All-Star game is not what it once was at all. It's not. When Michael Jordan was in the All-Star game, they actually treated it as a competitive game.
I mean, dare I say that the only game that still treats it like a damn game is baseball, even though they have all these gimmicks about these in-game interviews and Joe Davis being a clown on the broadcast?
Right, but you kind of you can't really fool around in an All-Star game for baseball. I mean, you can, but you can't. So
I love this. Yeah, I mean, and I went to the one when we had the All-Star game here in San Diego in 2016 for the baseball All-Star game. It was great.
Like if they came back to New York, you just do it at the Javits Center. I mean, you really could. I mean, they do most of the stuff in New York and L.A. and Philadelphia, Chicago.
I mean, this year makes sense, though, because it's $250 for America this year. That's why the game is in Philadelphia.
And there's plenty of places I bet they could go.
And there is a chance, too, if Team USA gets out of the group stage and wins their opening round knockout game, they could be playing, folks, in Philadelphia on July the 4th for the World Cup in the knockout stage.
That's crazy. That would be amazing if that happened.
My goodness, that would be sensational if that actually happened.
I mean, wow, man. Like, talk about playing for country, right?
Literally on the birth date of your country, and you could be playing in Philly, where the document was signed to say we no longer want to be underneath your rule, King George. Get out of here.
Exactly.
Whew.
That would be incredible.
Too bad. I mean, yeah, David Waitman, who's our Philadelphia-based correspondent, I think he was even saying, though, Nick, and again, the prices, by the way, folks, remain just absolutely through the damn roof for these games, though, for the World Cup.
Oh, that's not surprising. It's like what I told you last night, where they tried to buy the tickets to make them look higher than they were in the hotel rooms and all that stuff.
I'm going to go to check SeatGeek and see how bad the damage is still right now for Team USA for their first game at SoFi on the 12th. $890.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
So, real quick, the first game in Mexico City, Mexico playing South Africa. And by the way, for those that don't know, South Africa traditionally always plays the first game of the tournament for reasons unknown to me. $2,200 US to go to game 1 of the tournament in Mexico.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
There is nothing really cheap, Nick, except for when the Kiwis play Iran at SoFi on June 15th, $280.
I don't know what to say.
My goodness. I mean, all these prices are just exuberant. I think I shared my story, Nick, too, about how I had that window to buy Olympic tickets for 2 years down the road. Cricket and squash for over $450 a person at the LA County Fairgrounds and at Universal Studios Hollywood
That's crazy.
for the Olympics.
Wow. All right.
Nick, yeah, we'll now get to a extended version of press clippings for the afternoon. With that, Nick, per sources, speaking to FOS, between 10 and 15 media personalities representing SI were laid off this week. This round of editorial budget cuttings comes as SI's operating publisher, Media Minute, or Minute Media, I should say, aggressively implements a wider strategy to slash 12% of the global working force. Nick, was supposed to be the stable white knight that rescued SI from the Arena Group disaster. Is this global cut, though, a sign of broader structural issues in sports digital publishing, or a aggressive trimming of legacy and editorial overhead, though? And Nick, some big names, though, were now chopped from SI over the course of the week.
So I started talking about this on ETB Sports episode 320 on Tuesday, that the industry is going through a change when it comes to journalism. And I'm not saying journalism is completely dead, but the form of journalism is changing. Writing, people don't want to sit and read long form articles anymore when it comes to, well, let's put it this way. If I said to you, in my left hand is a long form article, and in my right hand is a short form video that tell the same story, which one are you going to look at?
Long form video.
Well, no.
The video.
So long form article, short form video.
Short form video.
Okay. So my point is, we live in a digital era now where if I can watch a video in 3 to 5 minutes, or even less sometimes, in 2 minutes, that tells me all the news I need to understand, or am I going to read an article that has 1,000 to 1,500 words in it?
Right. I'm going to watch the video.
Look at the way, and I keep saying this a million times, look at how we're established now as a network. Everything is done via video. We're live for all our shows, and in about 3 weeks, our last show will be live, and everything will be live. This is a react live now era. That's how we've become a live hybrid era when it comes to digital media.
Yeah.
So my assumption, without really knowing the business of Minute Media, now, before I go down that road, look at the timeline of how many times SI has been sold.
Oh, man, it's been crazy.
And I can't remember if Zan was somewhere in this chat. He could tell me. That company that bought SI originally, I can't remember the name of the company. Oh, Authentic Brands Group.
Yes.
Which completely destroyed the company. They tried to do all this shit where they were selling products and all this stuff, and they completely destroyed SI, which led to the point where Minute Media bought the site along with Players Tribune, which was Jeter's site, and a bunch of other things. So now when you look at digital journalism and you look at the way these sites, it's not like the past where sites would own, or companies would own their own site and they ran their own journalism. Now you have big corporations buying 10 sites, 15 sites, and they're all under the umbrella of one big conglomerate company. So, and they have like 4 or 5 people writing for all the sites.
Right.
which means those people are getting underpaid. And on top of that, like, for instance, with Zan or with Tom, who are writing for
Yes.
sites, it's paid by the word. Think about that. You're not getting, or you might be getting a monthly, maybe.
Yeah.
But you have to do all this writing. Sometimes Zan tells me he writes 7 or 8 things a day.
I can believe it, though. I can believe it.
But that's crazy. That's not how journalism used to operate. You would write 2 or 3 big pieces a day if you were a columnist or someone who was major. Now you have to sit and write 7 or 8 things a day, and you're only getting paid by traffic or by the word.
Yeah, which is just bonkers.
Now with digital reform the way it is, how we're putting out short form videos and live digital distribution of shows, why would you read an article anymore?
Yeah.
And I feel bad for some of these people at SI. When you look at, so Stephanie Epstein, who is one of the better MLB writers, 8 days away from 15 years.
Let go.
Got laid off. And can we just call a spade a spade? Getting laid off is getting fired.
Yeah.
Because I've had people say to me, but Nick, layoff is different from being fired. What is the action of laid off? It means you don't have a job anymore.
Pretty much.
So she got laid off 8 days before 15 years being at SI. Mike McDaniel, no, not the coach, who has been one of the better feature writers for college sports and has covered a lot of other sports, gone after almost 5 years. Amongst those, Greg Bishop. I'm sure you've heard that name before.
Yes.
20 years at SI. Oh, sorry, you're gone. Bye. 20 years. Let's see who else. I think that's pretty much it, but those are the big writers. And that also includes Yahoo Sports.
And that was going to lead me to the next one, though, Nick, involving the SI layoffs of both Greg Bishop and Michael Rosenberg on Friday. But Yahoo Sports also laid off their own round of layoffs, unannounced, though, as well, targeting several veteran NFL contributors, including legendary writer Charles Robinson.
This is a fair point. I'm convinced that most written verticals are still around to satisfy Google and ad revenue. Zan and I have had this conversation before where there's a new update coming to Google, which is going to change how algorithms put your article out, and it could suppress some of the viewership to articles. It's a big, giant algorithm where basically you have to play the views game.
Yes.
And that's the only way you're going to get paid. That's not a healthy model.
Not at all.
Because that means you're writing and writing and writing and writing until you fall down, until your heart's content.
Hamster wheel.
That's not healthy.
No.
Zan said, without going into the specifics, I can tell you that it already has done so. Yeah. I could have told you that. The algorithm is affecting it. And you know what? Companies are taking advantage. Oh, well, you guys need the money, so we're just going to force you to write until you fall over like slaves.
Exactly.
Journalism is dead. I hate to say it. I know Zan's a journalist. I know Tom's a journalist. And I'm not saying because of them. I'm saying because the system is flawed.
The system is officially broken. How about that?
Digital is where it's at. That's why we have Zan doing digital content, doing shows, doing Bando's Blitz, which is going to come back for the NFL season, which are short 3 to 5 minute videos on picks, NFL picks against the spread. Because we can do 5 videos in the time that it takes to write a 1,500 word article. Just, it's facts. It's the way things work. I could do 5 videos in the time it takes to write one big article. But just on Yahoo's point of view, because you brought it up, Charles Robinson has been at Yahoo for 20 years. Again, like Bishop at SI for 20 years. Does 20 years not mean anything to anybody?
No, it doesn't anymore, sadly.
And according to Yahoo, when they claimed they weren't cost-cutting moves. If they're not cost-cutting moves, why are you getting rid of them then?
Yeah.
Why? Like, they claimed they needed to make changes. Why was he at your company for 20 years? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
now I'm sure Charles could go off and in today's day and age do a Substack like you do. Or
Yes.
I'm sure he's got enough following if he builds up the Substack over time. He could do it. Or he could start a YouTube channel and do videos. Because I've seen him do some digital stuff before. But it becomes harder because we live in an age where we're not used to that. Until today, everybody is almost like self-started and self-motivated.
Yeah.
You have to if you want to survive this business.
Nick, back to soccer. Totally bucking the trend of moving their calendar. The National Women's Soccer League officially announced that it will not make that jump to the spring, that it will maintain the spring to fall model as opposed to the fall to spring model for at least the next 4 seasons after player blowback and also due to venue logistics and also media windows. Nick, about time a league has some common sense.
Well, this goes back to the whole MLS BS where they flip the schedule, right? So
Next season.
first of all, that screws up everything for like how people will do content. Like, because now you're flipping into what? The NFL side of things? And
College football, the NFL.
how is soccer going to get any watch? I'm not saying they won't. Let me be clear about that. But I'm saying now you're competing against the NFL, college football, the NBA, NHL. Why wouldn't you stay in the part of the year where the only thing you have competing is what? Baseball?
Yeah. Golf, tennis.
You would win if you stayed there.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to last, honestly, for MLS. But I mean, the NWSL, those, I mean, for 4 more years at least, they're going to stay where they're at right now. Zan also writes, Nick, if you did a paid Substack or a paid Discord, I should say, people would subscribe to it.
Agreed. Charles Robinson will be fine. I just think it's just a bad business practice that he was there for 20 years and you don't even give him a chance to be like, I'm leaving. Bye.
Finally, Nick, newly unsealed court documentation from Brendan Sorsby's lawsuit versus the NCAA revealed that an online sports book initially tipped off college sports officials about Sorsby's gambling habits. After being warned by law enforcement in an urgent legal filing, the NCAA has begged a federal judge to deny his request for being reinstated for eligibility, claiming it would cause destabilizing ramifications by forcing the NCAA to become the first major American sports league of any type to let an athlete, after betting on their own games, play their sports.
He should not be allowed to play football ever again. And I mean that sincerely. Don't give me the supplemental draft, because what are the odds that he's going to get to an NFL team for the supplemental draft? The odds are like less than 0. But he has no remorse, even though I think that was a PR statement that he put out or his team put out. $90,000. That's the number I want everybody to remember. $90,000 in bets. I think it was like 2,300 bets, totaling $90,000. Betting on all these peculiar sports, Romanian soccer, Turkish basketball, tennis, Nathan's hot dog eating contest. He also bet on college football games, even if he's redshirting. And by the way, Liam Barwick from our ETB Lounge, on Sunday, to even remotely say that he has no problem with him betting on games that he's sitting in as a red shirt. That is the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard in my life. You're on the team. Do you remember what you said to me last night? That even as a red shirt, you are on the team. Even though it says red shirt, you are part of the team. So you can't bet on your own games. And Zan said it on our show yesterday. And I've even said it. You sign an agreement as a college football player that you are not going to bet on college football games. So you broke the rule anyway. He shouldn't be eligible. That's it. And like you said, this would be the first league that would bypass the rules of betting on your own sport, allowing them to play. How does that make sense?
And also, not just players, though, but admin over staff or admin on staff and everything else like that, including that, not also separating the two.
It doesn't matter. I mean, you're right. So Zan, who did some work for the Big Ten, he told me this too, that he had to sign an agreement. Was it Big Ten? Is that in Chicago? Am I making that right?
Big Ten, yeah. Big Ten, yeah.
Okay. Then he had to sign an agreement that no betting on the games. And that makes total sense because you're seeing all the information come in.
Yeah.
It's, you know what? Brandon Sorsby did this to himself.
Oh, yeah.
And to say, oh, I went to a gambling addiction house for 35 days, you realize it takes more than 35 days to recover from any type of addiction whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, Brandon, tell your lawyer to shove it because he's claiming that he deserves to be allowed to play. Seriously. Yes, in Illinois athletics. Right. You don't deserve the right to play football. You don't. If you can't follow the rules, you don't deserve the right to play football at all.
Not at all.
And you know what? He'll learn. Maybe, like you said, he could go off to the CFL or any other, I don't know if there's any other leagues after that.
Arena football
Or indoor football league.
Yeah, which I happen to work for, so yes.
Not that he's going to make the money that he would have made in the NFL. By the way, his gambling caused him to throw away a $5 million NIL deal. Oh, Christie, too, the UFL. Also. But he's never going to get that money ever again.
Hell no.
Would you trust him, considering all the gambling issues he's had?
No way, no how.
The NFL would kibosh it in seconds if he got caught. But I don't know, man. He's going to learn the hard way that he shouldn't have done it. Also, putting it in family members' accounts and trying to pass off. You really think the NCAA is that dumb?
No, and neither are these gambling integrity companies either, who raised the flag about suspicious bets.
They reached out to the NCAA and said, hello, one of your guys is putting money into another person's account and using it. I don't know how they can tell it's them, by the way. But apparently these gambling companies have software.
Wow.
That's funny. He can go fight for
from the top rope.
He can go fight on brand risk, Zan.
I was going to say, exactly.
Oh my God.
That's great.
That would be great. Can we just who would we put up Brandon Sorsby against, though?
Johnny Manziel?
No, he said he would never fight again after this. We need another
Bob Maneri.
If you know what, and Zan, this would be great. He'd be better. He better stay away from the WWE. I want Brandon Sorsby versus Diego Padvia on brand risk.
Jose Canseco.
He's too old. But if Diego Padvia was not in the NFL, a main event of Brandon Sorsby versus Diego Padvia, two hotheads. Millions of people would watch that. Yes, agreed. They would.
Have Bob Maneri be on the broadcast call of that.
Oh, God.
Running his cock.
All right, that'll do it for the show. If you see the program alert up above, join myself and Johnny Montalbano for the ETB NBA Finals post-game reaction show after Game 1. When Game 1 concludes tonight, Knicks Spurs, first time since 1999 being the NBA Finals. We will react to everything that happens in Game 1 of the NBA Finals, so don't miss it. Time TBA until we get closer to the end of the game, but it should be somewhere around 11:15, 11:30 Eastern. So don't miss it. We will be doing a live, large reaction show to Game 1 of the NBA Finals, Knicks Spurs. Anything else?
I think we covered everything today. Even had some full time.
Yeah, next show will be Thursday, June 11th, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, due to the coverage of New Zealand's World Cup practice in San Diego, which you will be at. Correspondent at work.
Gonna be fun.
Try to get some video. We'll try to put some stuff up. IG Lives would be fun from there too, actually.
That is our goal, is lives, get some B-roll. Hopefully, again, as I said, talk to some of the fans who might be there that are supporting the All Whites again when they come here from New Zealand.
Yes. And then just want to make sure I didn't miss anything else. Oh, tune into after our post-game show in the morning, Thursday, or not really the morning, but 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, moving the goalpost with Johnny Montalbano and Nick DiMartino, who will probably react to game one as well.
I mean, if they don't, that's a disgrace.
So don't miss that on Thursday morning. What else am I missing? That's it for Thursday, right? For now.
Now until June 12th, when we have the first reaction show of Team USA playing Paraguay in the World Cup from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood.
Yeah, and then Friday, full day, unnecessary wagers, Gridiron Gurus, which is going to be humming on Friday,
baby.
And then obviously Saturday, we have Fight IQ back in its normal spot now that there's no international stuff for a couple weeks.
And I'm sure Tom is relieved right now. There's no international cards right now.
Probably. And then Between the Ropes, since Christy was in the chat here, 5 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Zanzinger Sunday. And Lounge back again on Sunday. You have no scheduled conflict, right?
No, I'm only going to be going to one day of the roller tournament up in Escondido, which is on Saturday. I might go Friday, but I'm definitely going Saturday, but I won't be going Sunday.
Okay. So,
because D-Mart is going to be out on June 7th. So we'll have David Waitman in his spot. And I did not want to be, leaving the show high and dry with both of us being out. So,
and Mr. Bando be on there as well, too. I think we're 4 people. Try to find one more for that show, but don't miss it. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, all the way to 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. 3 hours of jolly old fun at the bar.
Yes.
So that'll do it for the show.
We gotta get a damn beer sponsor to sponsor that show, damn it.
Oh, I'm in. If we could find a way to do it the right way, I would. But that'll do it for the show. Make sure you tune in next week, June 11th, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. That is Thursday, not Wednesday next week. So mark that on your calendars. Thank you.
Yes, I want to play Free Bird by Leonard Skinner on a loop if that happens.
Well, I don't know if we can do that, but I don't feel like dealing with copyright nonsense.
Yeah, of course.
But that'll do it for the show. Thank you to the 150 plus people that were in today. I saw a bunch of people watching on YouTube too, so thank you. Any last words before we go?
No, great program today. Thanks for everyone who joined us today and also on Cranium on Tuesday. We'll have plenty more coverage again, as we said, in 8 days' time, because again, I'll be covering the New Zealand Open practice at the University of San Diego next Wednesday morning. Literally, it would have been 15 minutes before our show would have started at 11 a.m. local time out here. So we moved the show back one day because the Kiwis will be practicing from 10:45 till 12:15. There'll be about a 45-minute or hour-long post-training session, meet and greet with the players and the fans who show up. So, again, we'll have plenty of that again. We're going to lay all this out, though, and Empty the Pitch, though, on our at Empty the Pitch social channels on Twitter and Instagram as the day goes on and as the week goes on. And we'll have more about what we have coming up, though, with the preview show next Wednesday, and also, again, our on-site coverage, though, here from Belmont Park in San Diego, too, for those 3 or 4 watch parties that I'll be going to capture the global game from the beach. That'll be fun.
I hate to do this at the end, but two things here. Burt Magnus says NFL Network will likely keep its own NFL draft coverage going forward.
Good.
And another story out of FIFA.
Oh, God.
An artist. Now, before I say this.
Oh, yes. I did see the story, but yes, go on.
But before I say this, you and I have talked about this. I'm surprised we didn't talk about this. All the issues that they're covering up the sponsor names and they're calling
So for those that are wondering, FIFA is requiring all the stadiums around everywhere that they cannot use the corporate branding or the name of the stadium. It's literally insert city name here, stadium.
Right. So, but here's the interesting story. So all the cover-ups they're doing, an artist is suing FIFA for $25 million after his Dallas mural was covered ahead of the World Cup. Robert Weiland alleges that the work was painted over without consent.
All that work for nothing just because of the World Cup.
In violation of federal protections for visual artists. Wait, so they actually literally painted over it?
Yep.
Oh, come on, man. That's not right.
That's a low blow.
I don't know if he's going to get $25 million, but I could see him definitely getting
a pretty good chunk of change to redo the damn mural when the tournament's over with.
Well, or you can do whatever he wants at that point. But
yeah,
because I'm looking at it, I don't know if this is the actual picture or not. Oh, wow. So they actually did. It looks like they painted blue whatever over the. It looks like a dolphin swimming mural.
Yeah, I think it was either dolphins or whales that they painted over on that mural in Dallas.
So they didn't even, like, in their small minds think, hey, maybe we should find out if...
yeah, talk to the artiste, for God's sakes.
Well, or talk to the stadium, or talk to the people.
Yeah.
And say, like, is this somebody's art? Like, should we not paint over it?
Typical
or just put a... How about just put a tarp over it?
I was going to say, put an advertising tarp over it, but not paint over the damn thing.
I kind of feel bad for the artist a little bit here.
I hope he sues and wins. I don't think it'll be that much money, but I hope he sues and wins something.
I mean, that could just be, when someone sues and they reach for like the stone, like for a wild number, and then they come down and they like settle. I could see him getting a few million, maybe.
I think so.
But that's kind of nuts. I'm not going to lie.
Low blow. Thanks a lot, FIFA.
I'm just looking to see if there's any last minute. Just remember, if you're watching the finals tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's a little bit of a late start. Most of the East Coast, West Coast, not so much.
It's dinner time, baby.
But yeah, I don't know. What are we looking at just for next week? Just for headlines we didn't really get to.
I don't know, honestly. I mean, right now, my mind is all for World Cup right now. Again, as we said once more, that we have moved our show for next Wednesday to Thursday because, again, I'll be on site covering and attending the New Zealand Open practice at Torero Stadium at USD. That'll run for about roughly an hour plus, I'd say, 2 hours roughly from 10:45 till just after 12 noon. They'll have about a 45-minute or hour-long post-training session, meet and greet with the fans who show up. So I don't know if I'll be able to really ask any questions of the coach or Chris Wood, who's their captain or whatnot, but we'll, again, try our best to keep you informed there. And, again, you can follow the show at Empty the Pitch on IG and Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, by the time we get to our next show, it'll be Game 4. So we're going to have a good idea of where the series is going to be.
We'll be in between. Well, actually, next show is going to be
after Game 4.
After Game 4, and an hour before the first game of the World Cup kicks off at Estadio Azteca in Mexico City.
Oh, shit. Oh, right, because of June 11th. That's right. So, but you're not going to have any streams or anything that day. That's just the beginning of the... Right now, our plan right now is just for Team USA in the group stage, and then whatever follows suit afterwards. We will obviously have a big show for the final on July 19th, because I don't think I'll be in Irvine that weekend, or maybe at all now for that tournament I was going to be covering. Maybe we'll do a pre-show. Maybe we'll do a pre-show.
We'll do a pre-show. We'll do a pre-show, post-show, whatnot, and all that good stuff, and then we'll go from there.
I just want to look.
I'm still working on all those details right now.
I just want to look up that date really fast.
It's a Sunday, July 19th.
Oh, so that's probably going to be mostly you then, because I think he works on Sunday.
So I mean, that's still a whole month plus away. So we got ample time to get all this figured out.
But that'll do it for the show. I'm going to stop babbling now because we're past 5 o'clock Eastern. But that'll do it. Follow our show on social media at Press Row ETB and the network at ETB Network. And thank you to 150 plus people, as I said, watching the show. Gladly appreciated. And until next week on Thursday, we will see you then. Have a good day, everybody.
Take care.